And we are live.
All right, folks, welcome back as we're going to continue our journey into the weird as this drama begins to develop even further. Once again, we were down to Mike. Working security sucks, folks. He's got a triple 12-hour shift that he has to do to hopefully get a permanent schedule to end his saga of Here and Not. Definitely loves the game, wants to be here, tunes in, catches up, but we'll catch up with him. Until then, we'll hold to his guidance of character choice, and we'll do just that. What does it mean for you guys tonight? Can you rely on him? Can you talk to him? Can you have him there? I will point something out. After you guys kind of part, and that's what we did, right? We kind of stepped away to do our own thing we agreed to. To give a little time as to what we might want to do going forward. Once you guys did that, you haven't heard anything from him. He hasn't said hi nor hair, but if you haven't reached out to him specifically to say, hey, what's going on, which I didn't see that you guys had, you haven't heard anything from him randomly. Is that weird? I would add no. I would definitely add no. I want to remind you, your humanity is everything as an indicator. And for the two Sabbat people, former Sabbat people in the group, that line, that gulf you're trying to drag yourself out of, and I do mean do that if for some of you. Others, you're just keeping it where it is. Let me make this make a little more concrete sense. In the beginning, remember I was talking about it, and I told you that your humanity still matters, right? Because that's a gauge of how close you are losing yourself to the aspects path regardless, right? And paths are just going to be touchstones. I like to see that was mirrored in the logic from a certain book we just reviewed, which not going to pump here. You've seen it. Everybody got it. You know what's going on. We're going to hold to that logic. I know you reviewed it with me. You understand where that is. That's exactly where we're at. So wherever it is for you, it's yourself remembers enough of you to get, yes, it used to be a human thing to reach out and contact your friend, to hang out, to hunger for that social engagement. It's not true for the vampire. It never is. The stronger your impulses for that vampiric nature, the more you're more selfish and self-centered. People come to you. Think about that. As a cult of personality, to come to you because it aids in your hunting. That's a mechanism the beast beats down and pumps into and what have you. Or you're a stalker, or you exist between the cracks, which means it's why vampires go unnoticed amongst human society. It's in their nature to not be noticed until they need food. And it serves that functionality. Look at the humanity from that scale instead. So that implied, what I could tell you, Sully, it is weird. Because you are a very humane person. It's weird. These guys don't keep in touch with you. They don't reach out to you. They don't make those habits to kind of say, hey, how's it going? Let's talk about the news or anything like that. Nothing whatsoever in that regard. For your character, Bernogle, I need you to think about the fact that as your impulses get more aggressive and more beast-like in thought, such as wanting to fight, wanting to get in people's faces, less that artist you are, you do note you are missing work. You haven't been called in to work a set yet. And then 2 weeks gone, nobody sets you up. You have the boss's number. You know how to meet the boss lady. But ever since you had that incident with your brother, it's like you're tabula non grata in terms of being asked up on set, although the checks are still clearing. You're not certain what that means. But being paid for nothing isn't a bad thing unless you're an artist who's supposed to have skill he could showcase. Otherwise, It's a lot like you got canned heat, no one to show it, and no one to enjoy it. To that end, for everybody else, former Sabbat, it's old hat. For Mr. Nosferatu Rot, this whole 2-week process, I do want to point out, you did put your feelers out to check out what was going on in Gurney, if you remember. Good old Gurney Mills, what's going on with that mall. You did get a couple hits. First and foremost, there's a whole series of newspaper articles of children going missing. It's a pattern. It's a pattern from your buddy, that one Nosh you met in that weird, threatening underground scenario where you thought something was after you, and you thought it might be, I don't know, what if it is Nick Tuku related and it's just some dude living in fear? And more or less, there isn't a letter where it admits that you're correct, because the beginning of the email simply says, watch your back, here's what I got. And it's just pointing out the fact that there are missing people out in Gurney. And what he puts at the end is kind of chilling. You know, it's an old quote that gets bounced around time and again. You're pretty sure you got it wrong, but you remember hearing it at a sermon at Cain once. It says, the first to die in any jihad are the Nosferatu. ... That's what it leaves there, and that's it. And that's the only mystery thing you get about that place, which kind of hammers home that place is very dangerous in that regard, more than meets the eye. You begin thinking, this guy Ballard's a venture, he's a Primogen. He sent you guys out there who are like the expendables of the Camarilla right now in Chicago to go investigate that place on a rumor of a funny video that was shot. Whether it was faked or whatnot, you're a child of the modern. You can fake video. You can make God seem real on camera. I mean, it's possible. But what if this happened to him? And you're not real certain anymore how concrete that story is. Add to the fact, I leave it to you, Rot, to understand the level of misdirection that you're experiencing here. There is something going on between Warren and the group. Like, is Warren Warren? Was he Warren? Was he not? Are they right? And then he's acting weird? Or is it you're watching somebody who, as their beast is taking over, is actually taking them over and portraying its own instincts as taught? And you begin to think about it. It is possible that as Warren was dwindling, his pack priest got his hooks in a little deeper than anyone ever gave him credit for. And absent that pack priest, this is the emotional and social mental damage that is coming out about from that. And he has no way to ask for help or how to fix it. And, you can't expect the camis to figure it out, but they will condemn to save their own ass. About the only person you have to talk to is his former packmate. Well, I guess still current if you want to see it that way. You hope they don't see it that way, because if they still see themselves as a pack, we're in all sorts of trouble with what we have going on. For Ramsey, it's nice to step back. It's nice to take a deep breath. It's not nice to get text messages, right? And what you're looking at is your friend saying, I'm lost in the woods and it's cold here. And it's all throughout the day. He's like, I don't know how I got here, where I'm at, man. I'm sober as I've ever been. Hey, help me. I got your back. I think I could find you. Come on. I'm really missing the sauce. I know it's something between you and I. I didn't rough you up that bad when you came to me back in the day. I know we got a deal and you made me go up for it. It's for all time. And then it begins to get more and more degraded. Is it like, look, I guess this is that part of hell I never thought was real. You didn't mean to touch me the way you did the other night. I didn't know it was like that. I don't know who I am anymore. What do you need me to be? Am I there for your comfort, for mine? And then you get a very angry voicemail where it is him screaming at you, just kill me, stop it. And the phone hangs up. However, it's odd to get a link that's hooked into Verizon, which is where your phone service is from, where apparently you logged into the admin account to get an exact map of where those phone calls came from. They also have a legal document that they signed, because you paid for it, that says all the legal proceedings that you need to do that, and you do need that. So you could use it in your court case, where they wish you good luck. But they've corroborated on their side of services is what the lawyers put up in a tight bow for you to have. That's over the course of a week. There is no more concrete way that someone is saying he's alive and he's still here. The problem is, where there's kind of woods around Millennium Park, they're like sculpted in the middle of the city.
Right.
There's no fucking way he could get lost there. And yet that's where it's all out, and it's all over.
But the map that was sent in that weird link that I didn't ask for, that someone sent me, does point it at Millennium Park.
Oh, absolutely. All over. We're not talking, it just says it was in the area of Millennium Park. It's like that was at the pavilion. This was at the pretzel stand. This other one was at the Dunkin' Donuts. This one was like right here in the middle of the park between Point Who Cares and over here where the concert is outdoor. That's how accurate they can get it. Which dispels some stuff for you. One, okay, it is true. Verizon these cell phone services can track that phone exactly where it's located, no problem. You just apparently got to get the law involved to disclose that.
Well, that's not my area of expertise. Yeah, I'm gonna go to. I'm gonna contact the members of the Coterie. Because we're definitely not a pack anymore. That's not how I see it.
I don't know what a pack is.
Yeah, right. What is this P word? Anyway,
do give me your hunger rolls, right? We're
yes, absolutely.
Where you're at. As you talk about getting this going and ramping up, anybody need a refresher of other than those independence updates that you got as to what you wanted to do this week from previous? Okay.
I'm good.
Now that I'll leave you to tell me where. We won't waste any time doing that rehash and re-up, and we'll get that going.
Oh, the only thing that I would like to clarify is that during the time, Slappy would have actively tried to stay away from his brother. Try to distance himself because he does have a fear.
I took that note from last time. I mentioned it out of character that you know what I mean. I follow the inference. You are correct. It's do you have a message from your brother? No, and that's on account. You also haven't played recently. Typically, he supports you on the nights you play, and he shows up. Until then, he just figures you're doing your gig. By the way, welcome to musicians. Successful musicians who do it, they don't do a set every week, sometimes not even every month. They do enough to get the bills paid and the party money going and all the responsibilities done. They might play for fun at a friend's house or whatever, but you don't let anybody tell you where the music moves you, all right, to be. And unless you agree to a contract gig, obviously. But what you have at the Blue Velvet isn't contract, right? You didn't sign shit. It's just a matter you're going to be there. Great. We'll pay you while you do it. And you got all that going. So for your brother, you probably give him a call or a text message when it works out. That's about as much contact, but it's been a good thing. You haven't been on stage. You haven't had to contact him. You assume he still goes to the Blue Velvet, but nobody would know that's your brother unless he said it, which means the people in this room on, your group.
Right. Yeah. Cool. Mopping up what you're spilling.
Sweet. All right. So we had a reason to connect here. At least Ramsey seemed gung-ho about it. You wanted to reach out and talk to everyone. Mm-hmm. And but before we do that, the fateful phone call that kicks it over, I told you guys what happened during the week, and you kind of had a response. I didn't ask you, Sullivan. I sort of told you where your feels were and whatever, Sullivan. But do you do anything specific in that gap that we could handle in the moment?
The only thing specific he would do is try following Danny as best as possible to at least figure out where he is, because he's going to attempt to resolve it one way or another before the sheriff gets to it. That's his hope.
There's a horrific process to going through this. Your normal channels, like you're unfortunately the type of guy. You tell me how Sullivan would go through it. Don't let me put words in your mouth. How do you see him keeping tabs of this guy?
The first thing he would do is, as his humanity slips, the only things that he kind of remembers are the fact that he is a dad, so he'll call his friends to see whether or not they've seen Danny around. Failing that, he'll start reaching out to family members that he may or may not know, keeping away from Crystal's family because he doesn't want to have to deal with the fact that she passed and he has to make presents. He's probably spending most of the week now just paying for her plot of land, paying for everything else, paying for the funeral, trying to make amends for the fact that he can't be present during the actual funeral itself, and taking the flack for it.
Couple things. To that end, let's handle the kid, calling friends route. There are friends you're used to him talking to. It sounds weird to people, but college friends are not, we just met on campus and we don't tell our parents who we talk to. It's a very scary transition point for a lot of people, going from high school and your parents being involved in everything to jumping and making those adult connections living on campus. But living on campus, they're supposed to learn to fly on their own. That's the freedom. That's the fun. Meet people known to tell you when not to eat ice cream, stay up all night, but then pay all the fucking bills, right? That's how that goes. And then usually at that pay all the bills moment is when you keep tabs to your parents who chuckle and keep throwing you what they know to be the fun money while you have to hold down your bills with the job you have. And he's no different. However, the friends you call, they're asking you, right? It's what you find out. They're like, we were wondering where he's been. He hasn't been to class in like a month. We can only cover so far. The teachers put him on, I think it's not reduced schedule, but they're not counting this semester. I didn't know they could do that. And so it's not a fail, but like until they find him, the police are asking questions. And that's happening, but he hasn't been to campus. It's weird. However, his girlfriend says he's been around. And that's odd. And that's his buddy. He has a guy who tried out baseball, about as much as interest as Sullivan had into it. That's sort of the father-son connection, right? You haven't really been to his games. Strangely, the vampire hasn't been to his games during the day that he could do, so he lost interest in playing baseball. However, you have been into his financial development. Is he prepared? Does he know what he's going to? And so he is in business management to try to forward that degree to be of use. He has no idea that you're paving the way for his life, right? That's the whole point. Pass or fail, he's going to do it. All he has to do is show up, which is why it's so weird. Not there, and it's alarming. However, you do get the number for his girlfriend. However, on top of that, she's willing to meet with you whenever you want to, but in her busy schedule, she's studying to be a doctor that she is down there. And she's very interested in psychology, even though she's going for a medical license type thing. The way you hear it, she's thinking medical license is a fallback for her to work for on cadavers if she can't handle the stress of being a full-fledged doctor. And she signed up for like an 18-year process for what she has to do to work as she goes, thinking she could handle the workload. She's a classic workaholic, and it makes sense. To your son, so are you. But somebody on a schedule that tight, she has things that just can't be met. And so she tells you she could pencil you in, but it's like she schedules you for an 8 a.m. You kick that out of there, right? She's scheduling you for, she could do it at night after her Pilates class, but it's Pilates, then she has kickboxing on Sunday that she might be able to get you in if you could show up there. No, you kick that out. And she has a rigorous schedule of like her diet. She sends you her macro and micronutrients to let you know where she's at physically and how it affects her mental performance and when she's best able to receive. So it might be best if you schedule like a weekend she has off and she tells you 2 months from now she's going on vacation when she can meet with you. When there's a lull in classes, she plans on going out to the Hamptons and she's bringing her boyfriend, your son. But by the way, she only refers to him as the boy. That's how she does it. You don't know, like that relationship must be his balls in a purse and she's dragging him where he's got to go. But you got a good-looking young man as a son, and you can understand you're successful, his son's successful. It might draws the like, but she's
Right.
pretty demanding. It's up to you if you want to manipulate her into being where you need her to be. And by the way, it's not hard. It's an ironic thing Sullivan would have learned a long time ago. People who are super important and believe they're important and believe they don't have time, their world gets brought to its fucking knees when someone aggressively wants to meet with them, and they end up talking to a boss or talking to a teacher, explaining the rigorous, oh my God, they're so busy. I'm a lifelong friend. Really, I think they need help. Can I talk to them on the side? Can I make time? And plying them, way easier. And suddenly there's a gap when she should be in class and she has a half-hour meeting and she could land right in front of you if you want to go that far. Problem with that is that puts you front-facing.
He's fine with being front facing. Like he has to meet to find her, and if this is the best route he currently has right now, then he's going to take every opportunity to get to his son.
Okay. Then for fun, we're going to say that you're cutting in her medical studies, and it's supposed to be a lab anyway. And where she has to go to is the University of Chicago campus at first, and then they're switching over to Rush University, which isn't far. And that's the hospital campus you've been hearing about in the news left and right. People are talking about this investment. However, without question, you're aware whose territory that is the Hikata. Absolutely, it's got to be. It's more than a rumor, right? And this coterie had an attachment there. In fact, you remember Ramsey talking about owing someone and the whole stat. It all falls into place, and then it gets a little creepy. It's a meeting you got to have. Is it a meeting you want? I'm just pointing that out. But it's up to you. Let me not talk you out of it. She has classes there from 8:30, says it's over by 9:45. And she's supposed to be there, the teacher, with your heartfelt, sincere, because you're awesome at the corporate communication, simply says, we'll go ahead and cut her 30 minutes early. It's a presentation she has to deliver, but we'll just have her turn it in. It's not that big of a deal. And because they think she could use a break too. It's an A student. So they're willing to give her a slack because she has leeway. But easy enough for you to get on campus. You sign in the visitor's desk. You got to wear the badge, the whole nine. And you're going to end up in front of her. Now, are you doing anything before this meeting, or are you simply just going to go there, be the part of the concerned dad, and have a talk?
He will attempt to rouse the blood to blush up because he's looking a little more gaunt these days. In fact, as he woke up and these past couple of nights, he's been noticing that he just doesn't care as much to breathe as he did before. And especially when he's getting ready and he notices and he puts on his tie, he recognizes that he was just staring at himself the entire time, almost as if he was watching a movie, but without actually going through the motions of it. Considering he has to be in front of her and he has to appeal to her humane needs, he will attempt to rouse to blush up.
Hell yeah. Blush me, bro, if you didn't roll already.
I will do so now. All right.
So to paint an idea of Rush campus, right, the hospital, it's cutting edge, a lot of money. Everything's new, has that new construction smell. They got all new placards because people got to put their brand everywhere. It's weird to you to see a brand for a hospital, and you're thinking of the eras of technology jumping. Everyone knows that you can't get past that. Computer tech is always the first to explode. That'll be years ahead of everything else. Right behind it is hospital. Medical sciences are making breakthroughs all the time. This requires a high demand on forwarding that technology as well. They technically work in hand. However, what you're seeing is also a revolutionary idea of just how much people spend for it. And now you're assuming the companies are stopping basically gouging prices. They still have an inflated idea of how much they should charge, but you actually have doctors making a demand for it to be reasonable to take care of patients. Doctors are in the business of healing people. A lot of times, people get this backwards. They think that that doctors are there to take all your money for exorbitant prices. It's not. The doctor has no control at how much your insurance is going to be charged for a service. That's done through the company they're with. Well, they're very proud at Rush. They have this whole placard up here, which is weird to you, that the doctor's on board. It's a board of accredited doctors that went ahead and invested, and Rush is the idea behind that. And they signed up with a company. This board of doctors signed up with a company of investors to see this realized so that it's affordable, but also cutting edge. So they claim they're meeting everybody in the middle so that folks can get healed and we can better, well, as they consider it, the human life, which is the point. Well, this campus is huge. Getting here and looking at it, you're at building D. There's 4 of them. If you took 4 full-size hospitals that you're used to seeing, DJ, and put them in the same lot, that's the size of this place. Specialty buildings, you have to drive around to get to where you need to. They have services where someone can pick you up where you're at if you have to really get somewhere and you have an appointment, and they'll drive you over, drop you off in a buggy. They have people you pay for that. We don't have to pay, but like you tip them. It's part of the fee of what you do, and that's sort of the culture of it. Everyone's smiling. They want you to get to where you're at, and God forbid you're on a crutch or you're having trouble walking or trouble breathing. It's like there's medical people walking around who drop what they're doing to make sure you're okay to get you where you got to go. This is more than a feeling you have here, because people here notice shit. That's what makes you very nervous in being here. Dear God, don't take my pulse. I just walked into the automatic doors of automatic doors. The heating is automatically acclimated. I'm not too hot. I'm not too cold. Nobody's rushed. There's people at the door who want to take my temp from the outside to know what goes on. This is interesting in a sign of the times, but at the same time, they asked my permission to do so, and I could refuse. If I do, there's another line. And of course, you refuse. That line is shorter than the line it is to get in. And so you're just visiting over here on the side. Why you do that is it buys you time, and I'm not going to bore you with this. It's a quick trick of the mind. I see it on your sheet. You simply tell them it's fine. And they're like, oh, yeah, of course it is. Go on in. Go ahead. Here's your badge. Your temp's good. Have a good day. Oh, here's your mask, and I'll hand it to you. They'll tell you the hospital's in high demand of people wearing a mask anyway, because they know a direct correlation to following processes like this, even afterward. This helps reduce the amount of infection that is spread from patient to staff. That's the commonality. Staff sees everybody. You get all this thrown in because as Sully's going through here, what I want the player to know, this hospital, this is not a building that's just scenery in a game. I want to point that out to you. Mm-hmm. You need to be in the mindset that they want your ID when you sign in, and that's a security checkpoint. They have you on camera walking in. That's okay, not a problem for you, but it's something to note. They also have it where a group of people see you at the door. There are greeters that are walking around. There are doctors talking to nurses who are just having coffee at the coffee shop, and you note that, how easily accessible they are, but yet they're watched. The seeing eye is everywhere in this facility. A giant electronic board tells you what, where, and how to go. There's a phone to use internally to call the people to pick you up. There is no effing way you can get anybody to come in here and pull what was done out in Naperville with that massacre you read about and you knew about. In fact, right here, this close to cops, you imagine this is by design. They got some, it's hard for you to think that the prince doesn't know you're here right now. That's what it feels like. Someone designed this to be a domain so sweet that they don't miss a step. But what it does for the mortals who come here is they feel very cared for, their money's well invested, and they belong here. And so you put on your smiling best to make it feel like you do the same thing. However, now you understand this girl. When you encounter her name is Lisa Gray. Lisa is what we would like to call a self-motivated, maybe political, maybe not, go-getter. And what I mean by that, She's all about 5'3" and composed of internal dynamite. This is somebody who knows who she is and has no attitude about it whatsoever. When she sees you, she knows who you are on sight. It takes you a minute, but you watch her approach you from the Starbucks, where she said she wanted to meet, and she's got her skinny size and all that stuff, and for her drink of whatever it is. But she already went ahead and took the courtesy to get you your coffee black, and she hands it to you as if she needs to. And the next thing she does, you see it, she has a Fitbit, and she'll tap it on her wrist, and she'll go, "Oh, I didn't see yours. The boy says you're really active." And you get around and you do like laps and you do a lot of running at night. And he says you worked out all the time.
I did. I must have forgot, to be honest. I've been kind of busy, to say the least. When was the last time you saw the boy, by any chance?
I don't know. My itinerary. Let me look. I'd have to look. It's just the way it is. I was in the middle of an exam, and it was really cool though. I got out of it tonight. I got lucky, I guess. Let me see. She'll pull out her phone, and she pulls something out. Does the typical classic frustrated. Oh, okay, yeah, I have a meeting coming up here. I got to put that back. So we're supposed to meet with him for that. She's for that, and then oh, here you go, leisure time. We have our biweekly, and it's coming up next Friday. We're supposed to go out and do Italian. But he hasn't been missing. It's been me. I'm super busy.
No, I could imagine. He'll put the coffee to his lips, just kind of wet it and have that breath of coffee on his lips. Before he takes a look at her, he's like, he hasn't visited you these last couple of nights by any chance?
She'll look at you weird for a moment. I said, well, I mean, no. I don't know if you get the impression. So you could know. How could you know? Okay, so and he doesn't talk about anybody but himself usually. So we met him through friends, through connects, and how we went was at a party. And I don't do this normally, but we took a chance, and we ended up staying out at the weekend. I think we went out to. It was a lake house. I can't remember the town. It was somewhere in Nobody Cares, Wisconsin. I can't really remember where it is. Like a 2-hour drive. But there was hiking and, apparently guys fish, or at least pretend to, or whatever. And there was a houseboat. We did all this stuff. Bottom line, 30 minutes of your life go by. Sullivan, as she tells you how awesome her life is and how busy she is. I won't do that to you here and now.
Right.
In the moment, if we're going through it, she's painting in how your son's your son. She talks about dragging him through and how he doesn't seem really to be motivated, and everything he says is often like about, he keeps talking about you. He's like, oh, my dad says this and my dad says that. And so much so she knows there's like daddy issues that are in the relationship, but she's always been urging him to break free of that. And it's good you're talking, because she has some books she'd like you to listen to of how to break the umbilical cord and to allow him to be a man to stand up on his own, because she can't be with a guy who's not, well, like yourself. And she's very open at saying that. He needs to have the attributes of you, but it needs to have the personal drive that doesn't require me, but he knows he has to fit my my demands.
He'll nod. He'll just kind of acquiesce as he does the whole, like, okay, keep talking for a moment, as he's trying to get something for her. When she finally pauses, he'll be like, listen, I like you a lot. We're cut from the same cloth here, and you know exactly what I'm looking for, and especially you know what you're looking for, and I appreciate that, and he actually needs that as well. Danny, of course, being who he is, just has this, well, it's been a situation. Reason I'm reaching out to you, though, if I may, and he'll take one step closer, but he'll provide his side profile so as not to look intimidating, and speak almost as if he's speaking to her side to side, and be like, unfortunately, I'm not sure if you've heard, but his mom has passed very, very recently. He may be a little bit erratic, and he may need your help. I know that me and him have issues right now speaking, but he might need your assistance and your leadership to do so. So if you could just help him get through it, and more importantly, as he takes a look at her, if you'd be able to give me a phone call the moment you see him in person, and he'll use Mesmerize to give her the line, I would really appreciate it.
What I would like you to do is mesmerism. We're going to consider that. Don't even bother rolling dice for it. But I want you to roll your manipulation empathy as you're talking with her. And I did it again. Manipulation insight. So
you got it, sir.
I'm never not going to do that. It's like a go-to with me. God, it's weird. As you tell her all that, and you see the tears welling up in her eyes. You didn't expect that reaction, not from how she sounds. It's like it's there. It's just she goes, I'll have him call. I'll have him call, and then you give the command. It's like she wasn't really listening past you saying she passed away, and you hammer home your point with it still, and that's why you feel so little resistance to it. It's of course she's going to do that, and she keeps the tears come a little more, and she's like, I looked up to her so much. It's just I talked to her for so long. She's the one who put me here at school. She told me it's okay to work as much as I want to, that life will trim my time. But God doesn't give us more than we can handle. And I could just handle a whole bunch. And I'm just trying to build the family that we need to have. But I just can't. What am I going to do? And you'll see her turn, kind of half hug herself. She goes, I'll have him call, as she's trying to get herself composed again. And there are people around, kind of doing their thing. It's a hospital though, not a college campus right here. And so what happens is they assume family. You've talked, said something, she's crying, you have it, and you don't look menacing.
He'll nod and he'll be like, thanks, I appreciate it. Listen, if anything at all, we could probably try to mend all of this, and we'll probably have a sweet talk. Next time, if you do have that free time for Italian, give me a phone call if you wish. It's on me. I owe you for the coffee anyway. And thanks for your time. And you'll just see him walk away.
She'll nod her assent as she's trying to, well, you told her, and the hooks her in, and you'll be able to leave. That little segue, sorry about that, everybody else. We'll be caught up for the night at that point as you put the hook in the water. Ramsey, you were going to make a phone call.
Yeah, I was going to call to get meet with the Coterie. I need their help with something. Let me make sure I didn't misunderstand something earlier real quick. The like tracking of where these messages came from. All that stuff and all that legal paperwork was just sent to me. That's not something Ramsey bumbled through, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
It was sent to you.
Just making sure.
Picture of Verizon internal customer email, right? It's definitely them.
Mm-hmm.
It's the service that you did sign up for him to have to be able to have cell phone connection with you, which is why you had that Apple phone. You just didn't know where he got the Apple phone from.
Mm-hmm.
It cracks you up. It's not beyond him to have found a way to do it. And cool, that's what he has. And it's your retainer. You would have set it up anyway. But the point is, for them to send that officiated service means he would have to, or someone who could fake him, went ahead and had it sent in. But it's weird. It also should have took time. Not to say that it didn't, but the timing of it maybe is a bit weird and awkward.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. Yeah, so I'm going to ask to meet up at that apartment that we're supposed to have been staying at anyway. Or at least is there for us.
So to help you out, so that's a little more forward, they could use it. You're going to send a message to everybody, hey, let's meet at the apartment. I got business. Ramsey?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Call that a lead in. That helps them say, no, I'm going. Or yes, I'll be there. We're all good.
Yes, Slappy will be attending this meeting. He will send a text that says, "For show."
Thank you for the assent.
Yeah.
Sullivan will say he'll be there in about 30 minutes or less, depending on traffic.
Rob will also reply, I'll be there.
All right. In short order, that's the scene. You guys arrive, not at the same time. No one Batman's in, but relatively. No one has to eat, do anything else but show up, and so you do. As you're one. You guys have no problem getting in. The place has been vacuumed, straightened up even. That's what cleaning service does. And awkwardly doesn't feel like your place because it isn't. Mm-hmm. So, but it's clean. We'll assume one of you, if not all of you, go through and look and check, and almost certainly you feel it might be bugged the way things have been going, but you thought that since you were here.
Yep. So Ramsey will sit on the couch and he'll put his phone on the coffee table, unlocked, so everyone can see the screen if you bother to look. My guy's been missing. I told you about that a bit ago when I was speaking with the pretzel guy that saw him. He's still alive and in Millennium Park. I think he sent me the locations of where his messages were coming from, but he's lost in the park. It sounds weird, right? he's no stranger to the sauce, but even then, this is odd. Saying he's lost in the woods, but the message came from the pavilion. There are trees in that park, but it's no forest where someone could get lost.
Slappy's like kind of leaning against the wall nearby a window, got the window cracked open, and he's smoking a Marlboro 27 with his trumpet over his shoulder, and he's just kind of like, man, how the fuck you get lost in Millennium Park?
Yeah, I don't know. He is strung out right now.
Oh, I've been there for sure. One time I did so much heroin with the homies, like back in the day. I mean, most of the time you just fall asleep and then vomit. But I mean, if you're on the juice, I guess it could do more, right? Sorry, I just overshared like a motherfucker. I don't know if that has anything to do with your situation. And he's going to go back to smoking near the window, like kind of awkwardly.
Sullivan just stands by the window as well, but with a hand in his pocket, just kind of taking a look out. Before replying and not taking a look back, what's the importance of him?
He's my guy. When I need something done during the day, he's the one that does it. He's been watching Millennium Park during the day when we couldn't. That's when he went missing.
Has he seen anything recently that he reported?
He got chased by dogs deeper into Millennium Park near the that homeless encampment beneath the bridge. It's the last I heard he was. Last place I heard he was. He's still alive. The voice message he left is definitely him. Or at least that's
So you're
his voice.
saying. So you're saying we need to take care of this before he becomes an issue?
Yeah, get him back.
Slappy's gonna. Oh, go ahead.
I was about to say, we still have that lupine issue within the park, right? And last time we attempted to go to the park, everyone was at a standstill because of this. How do you propose we enter the park this time around?
For that matter, how do you propose we approach the park without, first light?
Slappy's gonna. Oh, Slappy's just gonna ash his cigarette out the window, and he's gonna be like, "Well, the way I see it, gentlemen, is we gotta make a decision here. We have many opportunities before us," and he's gonna inhale deeply on it before letting the smoke pour out the window, and he's like, "We still have the Ballard situation. I've been thinking about this a lot. I haven't been working much. I've been playing a lot of Xbox online because I ain't been getting gigs, but I've still been getting checks, And while all those 12-year-olds be talking shit about me online, it's giving me thoughts. So I feel like, personally, I'm sorry, Ramsey, but I don't know if going into the park is our best bet right now. I think that we should follow up on this whole Ballard situation because I feel like Ballard, if we scratch his back, he can offer us some protection, against everything else maybe. And then from there, we can maybe find your boy in the park. And then as far as first light, and he's going to point the cigarette towards Rot, be like, I don't know shit about that.
Right, first light's already tracking you, and that was outside of the park. If you're worried about first light, avoiding Millennium's not going to do anything. The lupines are a problem. That's still a public place. Nothing we do is going to be without danger. Sully.
But there's scales. There's scales to the danger. You're asking to hunt lupines. I'm asking to go investigate a mall and some shit.
All right.
I don't know how to find your friend, but I can at least go into the park unnoticed and scout the area, see if I can get a fix on where he last was. Follow the trail. Rest of you could potentially go investigate the mall. That needs to be handled.
All right. Now we're talking. That sounds good. Ramsey, you say you got exact like locations on where his phone was at, right?
Yeah, I'll forward Rot the stuff, and by that I mean I'll forward him the phone because I don't think Ramsey knows how to do that.
Rot, you give us all the information that you know about that fucking mall, and then we'll roll in there, try and get some information, try and see what we can get going on over there. You find his boy out there, and then we can follow up directly afterwards. Hopefully swoop him up before any lupines start spraying piss all up in my trombone. And then we gravy, right?
Right.
At least for those. Fuck, I still don't know what we do about Tally, right? But whatever, you know.
As far as the mall goes, there's been children missing that have been going missing over a large amount of time. We're talking at months. So it seems to be like one at a time. It's very strange. I don't think we're dealing with a great number of threats. It very well could be a Nosferatu that's operating out of there. It might be the same guy that has the Ballard tape.
Did you see anything while you were there? Did you see any of those? No offense, but did you see any Nosferatu while you were there? Did you see anything questionable?
That's the thing about my kind. We have a very unique trait where we can go unnoticed, but if you know the signs, which for that matter, it's very subtle, you know, small trails that are left bent. Like when you're going through the forest, you're tracking something in the forest. You see a bit of brush crunch here and there.
Yeah, like Hansel and Gretel leaving breadcrumbs. Gotcha.
That kind of shit. Yeah, but you won't see it. That's the thing.
Oh, I won't see it.
You have no idea. You've been around me. When I decide to not be noticed, you don't know I'm there.
Well, shit, I haven't given a shit, to be honest. But yeah, no, I see what you mean.
We'll leave that in the air, right? We call that did he mean to insult you, or is he just an asshole? I think we'll leave that right where it is, right?
I'm going to take it as he's just an asshole.
All right, then. Let's follow up with that. He'll look over at Rod and he'll be like, listen, no engagement. No engagement whatsoever. We know that this has to be a scouting mission. I can't afford to lose you. We can't afford to lose you. Okay. You see anything, you report it. That's it. That's all you do.
What's your guy's name, Ramsey?
I'm sorry about this. We got to do a quick intermission real quick to adjust some stuff. I've been headed of a technical issue on one side. We'll be right back, folks, right as we get that wrapped up.
I know how to do this. Hey, we're live. Everything's fine, folks. Everything's good.
I hope it went well. All right, everybody, welcome back. We are on the air here. Naturally, it's what we're recording means. I just wanted to verify that. It's going to sound like we're haunted for a little bit here. That's it's going to happen. I'm going to say that our two former household beloved pets you may hear running around. I say former because you won't see them.
They're not
shit.
The only ones.
What just happened to Bob?
We're gonna go on a quick intermission. This is, this was the ghost thing we were talking about. It might be more literal.
Damn it,
dude! That legit scared the shit out of me.
That is a terrifying picture.
Ready?
We're back.
All right. Hope you enjoyed that. That's when a fuse blows, you understand, things reset. So you enjoy that life. Some of you needed a drink or whatever the situation is, however you're enjoying this media at the moment. So we'll get back to it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, first and foremost, welcome back. Secondly, you guys had some questions, no doubt, from what I put up in the news. But even before that, do you recall back to what we were doing before we had to stop recording last time? At all?
Vaguely. I do remember that there was talk of finding Fry Pan Dan, and that was largely and I blanked on his name, the player's name, not the player, the character's name.
Sullivan.
Yeah, Sullivan.
Rot.
Sullivan
Rot.
had his whole. Oh, Rot.
Rot was going to try to find him. Sullivan. I'm gonna be honest. I don't remember a lot from that day. That was a day.
It's okay. So let me give relevance dead point we left off. Right. It was whether or not we were going to go pursue this mysterious iPhone messages being left in Millennium Park by Deadpan Dan, and what happened to him. Lost in the trees in Millennium Park didn't make sense to anybody, and that's sort of where we were. The backdrop is that I didn't forward the plot to you in tandem in all immediacy on purpose. This is two reasons. One, if he was here, and I should explain this, DJ had to take care of a family deed that happens. It's a Sunday. When we record on a Sunday, it's typically when families know they can call in people to do weird things. He's no exception. So he was summoned to go handle it, and he would be several hours out from the actual pod, and we couldn't delay it. So that's how that went. We'll catch him next time. Ironically, Michelli had some things to do as well. Also, work-related. Mike can relate. As remember, Mike had to do a grueling 16-hour days back-to-back in order to make a deal with his boss in order to get a schedule where he could come back and join us again. So welcome back, Mike. I appreciate your sacrifice, sir, and your hustle. Much appreciated. But we're going to spend a chunk of time today. Obviously, we're going to go over Mr. Michael Moore and where he's left off with this character to kind of get him back and abreasted. Also update people on what maybe he understands goes on. This leaves Brennan and Brandon to, I don't want to say fly loose, but I want you to think about two things. One, when we transition, which I'm going to keep pace for, I'm not going to tell you you're gone for an hour here. What I'm saying is that when you're confused of what you're going to do or not certain, here's what it means when a player says, yeah, we had a lot to do, and I'm not certain what we were going to go do. I want you to try to imagine in real life what you do when you have a list of things to accomplish. Typically, you just organize them and do them, right? It's like, I'm going to do them in this order. I'm going to go out and do them. If I need people to help me, I'm going to ask people to help me. We're going to go do them. But notice the theme here. It's just to do them. We can get stuck in our head. We can spin gears. We can decide that something's too dangerous, so we're thinking ahead. And I call that storyteller thinking. As players, we're not there to think about what can happen in the future. I'm not saying be dumb. Like, open the door when you hear, obviously, there's something evil and breathing behind it. Plan a little if you know that much. But what I'm saying is, if there's something you want to do, you got to do it. The most entertaining thing is just to go for it. Plan as you can, but ultimately go for it. And we're going to work together to get there, because I think that's best for enjoyment. You guys work best anyway when it feels that you have time to do it. I offer no stress in downtimes, and I think that helps as well, and that's a secret. So when you get here, it's a little fresh. But for Brennan, remember, Slappy didn't really have anything odd going on, save an ominous thing going on with the Brewhot clan that you distance yourself from. You seem to be more concerned about the club and playing, and to that end, you weren't really concerned. Because if you don't have to work and they're still cashing your checks, who doesn't wish that it was happening to them right now, right? Sort of a win-win. However,
Yeah.
we know Deadpan Dan, and that's a focus. Please go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was going to say, but I feel like at this point, even for Slappy, like, playing is part of, the rush of immortality. Like, he's getting checks, he's cashing them, he's getting paid, but what's he doing with his time, When you're immortal, fuck. Like, he literally, he lives his undeath to play.
And then a whole lot more from there. We'll give plenty of time to focus on that in two shakes. But for the time being, my man Mike, what do you recall last that you left off doing? We've talked off and on. But I always do this to see, because what you tell me will probably be the most important thing to you.
The last thing I remember is that we finally decided we were going to kick the pig at Millennium Park and go to try to solve a problem at the Bean. That turned into a riot, and I managed to almost blow my hands off with a less than judicious application of supernatural strength. After that, it gets foggy for me because I don't think I was involved, unless I'm entirely forgetting a session.
No, not at all. You're not forgetting anything. I think that's great. What we're going to pick up is we're going to partially do two things. One, we're going to get you caught up, but ultimately we're going to do this through narrative as to what you understand. And I'm going to ask that Brennan and Bernogle give as much humor and facial expressions and wording as they want based on what happens from there, right?
You got my solemn vow.
Right. So, first and foremost, Warren, after his hand shattered, coming to, there was that panic in the park, and that's where we ended that game more or less in that session, paraphrasing what occurred, and you had to jet off the word. More or less, what happened is that you left. It's that simple. What do you do after a riot, and you fed, and you frenzied, and you don't know up from down, and that's what occurred. You beat feet, you disappear into the night, and you hope it works out for the best. You spend a grueling night running through, finding any form of clothing or ways to ditch your blood-covered clothing, and make it home without some pedestrian following you or some Superman cop pulling you over, trying to see if you're okay. And as luck would have it, you know the neighborhood well. And when you make it back, you get to your personal haven. A couple things. One, it's boring. When you get back, it's stacked mail, a notice that the rent's paid, obviously, because you have that set up. And, there's receipts that are stacked in and no big deal. But somebody apparently had entered your apartment, and you have it that it was a courtesy call. A neighbor talked to a landlord, and they were concerned. They went in and saw you weren't there at all and assumed that you went on vacation. Apparently, you're a guy who likes to travel, according to a website that you once had. And this nice letter's left there, and they left out cookies, sort of like an apology for entering in. But they're store-bought. I'm going to add that. They're store-bought. It's like a landlord going, sorry, please don't call the cops. I had to enter to make sure there wasn't a dead body. No dead body. Everything's neat. Your home is the way it is. Based on who you are, though, when you check your security, that tells a completely different tale. When you look at your security tape, what you'll see is, as you have it, there's a bolt hole in the wall that you've modified, right? Anybody who knows you's going to walk in and get this sort of African motif collection, as if somebody was obsessed about the Serengeti and maybe African tribes, and you have like a room or two set up that way, but then you have a pretty normal library and a nice living room, right? It's a good 2-3 bedroom size loft that you have rocking here, and you have it set up like that on purpose. It's all a clever ruse. People are going to assume it's a black man, educated, has a home set up, is going to be some type of way, might have some money. They're not going to look too much beyond the fact that you have the fake cash, not fake, but like, the $20 in singles kind of spread out and a bowl of change here and there to catch to see if they're a common thief or serious, per your suggestion. But most importantly is the wall in and of itself that you actually sleep in. There's the bedroom, and there's the big wall. It's a map of Chicago, and you have on there where you walk through history, right? You tied by string and have little Post-its up of, this was the Chicago race riots back in like 19 and change. And then here's how they updated. Here was the civil rights movement, everything to say, okay, this guy's really into culture and blah, blah, blah. But if they paid attention, that wall pops out. That's where you sleep with the handles on it to pull it back in. And you don't care. You die during the day. Right? As you said, you rely on the padding and the insulation to be what it is, and your body just sort of limp hangs in there, and then you wake up, unlock it, move the panel, and step out back in your haven. It's like Vampire 101 here. However, somebody doesn't know that. And when they come into this place, you'll note, first things first, it's a Nosferatu. Immediately, you can tell that, right? Their obfuscate does not give them that benefit of, anonymity when on camera. And of the cameras you have set up, it covers the living room and it covers your room that you're in. So you could see, right? You could log into your phone and, if you felt some type of day raid would happen, it's a paranoia check. You didn't because you weren't home, right? When a lot of this goes down. But the point is, when you get in here and you see it, Snots comes in, goes to your fridge, opens it up, sits down. I mean, you don't have audio, but apparently watches TV. Kind of sits there, you see what you assume is a him, go over to the wall, bang on it a bit. And when I say to him, this person's naked. they don't bother with it, but it's not the traditional bald head. They seem like some sort of crocodilic mutation. And this is because their mouth extends back farther than it should, and their teeth has a massive overbite. And you can see the vampiric fangs that are there, kind of like a telltale there, but it's like tusks for this entity. And they're kind of squat, no big deal beyond that. But you notice a telltale black moon that's carved on top of their hand. That's the part that you have paused to. Can't remember where this is from. It's something. Was it Impact you guys talked about it once upon a time? It's something referred to like the killer of killers. There's some sort of thing. There's a club in the Sabbat. It's like a 10 victim club. If you killed 10 actual vampire opponents on the open market, everyone saw you do it, and you collect their fangs or something like that. There's a ritual you can do. You grind the fangs in the dust, and then they're able to take that dust and they mark a crescent moon in your hand to let everybody know you're worth 10 of the enemy. And it's bravado. You always took it as like a tribal thing for what they do in the Sabbat. But you also remember someone else said they were the Black Hand. And you laughed it off. Well, who wouldn't? The Black Hand? You mean Manus Nigrum? Great. I like Sicily, and yes, they have an organized crime, no big deal. That was that. But here's Gator Boy sneaking around your apartment, and he's, well, how did he know you were here? And that puts you on edge a little bit. What would Warren do coming from here? Now, this means you came back from the bean, as we had it, and you had time to kind of reconnoiter. You get to your pad, mail piled up, get your clothes, you check your security, and you do a double take. That's where we're at.
Well, first thing I would do is send a short text to Ramsey, just asking if anybody by that description sounds familiar. Because if they made it to me, they could have made it to him, did something else to the group, or maybe they haven't been seen at all. Gives me and what they are. And then I would spend some time, trying to find shelter elsewhere, not permanent shelter, but something long enough to kind of wade in the water, throw them off the trail. They found this spot. I don't have time or resources, right, to replace it. There's a lot of effort that's been put into this haven. But I do need to take some evasive maneuvers. Because they can see me, but I can't see them, right? That's a problem.
Accordingly, we'll do with step one. When you text Ramsey, it's disturbing. And I only say disturbing because you haven't received a call from this person yet. But the number, well, they identify themselves as Deadpan Dan, is what it says. It says, all's well. No worries here. I keep close eye on them, but I'll let them know you text. Literally addresses it as Deadpan Dan. Now, briefly, I'm gonna jog your memory. You absolutely remember who this is because he talked about this guy who had back in the day he abused him pre-Sabbat, right? Had done terrible things to him, and when he became a Sabbat vampire, Ramsey went and hunted this guy down, stalked him for a while, and then eventually ghouled him as a punishment, made him his slave basically. That's Deadpan Dan, and that's he's sort of touch and go. In other words, you always got the impression he left Deadpan Dan to think he was free, knowing he'd be dragged along by the tie of blood. Like he couldn't help but follow where Ramsey went. And very much that's proven true. So at least you know what's going on with that. However, the other side of the coin is that even though he did it, and he texts you back, this guy's never texted you before. Plus, your guy knows how cell phones work. That should be, well, Ramsey will directly get your message. He will directly send it back. Why didn't it work this time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's an issue. Communications are important. With that being the case, I'm going to go straight to where I understand Sullivan and Ramsey and Slappy to make their haven, right? Wherever our normal gathering place is, where we circle up and figure out what we're going to do for the night. Straight there, for sure.
So the circle of gathering spot where you want to be located, do remember the spot you had before was an apartment, right? It's out in Wrigleyville. And that's where you guys had, and you were kicking rocks. Everything was copacetic. Then you went and this bean incident happened. And there's an aftermath, right? You went and crushed it, did your thing, and then they got in trouble, right? Was effectively how it went. There were talks, there were conversations. We were going to stay here. We were going to do this. You remember that building. And you will go back to it. Problem is, when you go back, you'll note one thing: the place isn't empty. You'll see that there's a woman in a suit who's currently at the front door. When the elevator opens, right, you walk in, get past security, they recognize you, they don't stop you. They let you get in because you need a key to go up to the floor they're at that you don't possess. That would be in Sullivan's possession. But it goes up. When it opens, you stare at the back of three entities. It's that same old battle axe of a girl you saw, a woman you saw who addressed before and basically broke down Sullivan. And then the other two are just there. And you call them Goon X and Goon Y. They just seem to be her right and left hands and most likely just kill machines. It's always the impression you get. When they don't talk a lot and they look intimidating, it's because they're probably there to do just that. It's up to you. You can choose to address her and go to her and deal with that a little out of water. But at the same time, it seems they're looking for somebody. Because with it open, those two are just guarding her, but she's on the phone. And the last thing you catch is, we're going to do another sweep. But then the elevator doors open. And there you are.
Yeah, well, I suppose the time is now. I'll step out and let her finish her phone call, I guess.
Okay. Two things I'm going to point out for Warren's perspective. You're Sabat, right? Or was, right? Traitor at best. At worst to the Camarilla, you're a liability. You're somebody who comes with the biggest baggage of them all. The Sabat will want your head. They will want your blood. That's without question. The Sabat have never failed to take turncoats. They don't have turncoats in that set. You are black-marked and by any other term to be basically offered to the pyre of what their war machine is. And they have everything to say in their reputation to see that happens. You don't get to see the other side much to understand what it is. So when you see the look on her face is not one of warmth or concern, she simply looks at you. Where are they?
I'll say, trying to figure that out myself. I'm having issues with my phone today. It's never happened to me before, and I know what I'm doing with a phone.
The guy on her right, which, remember me saying, just seems average, when he speaks up, his image kind of looks a little twisted, right? As if the moment he talks, it doesn't hold well. I'm giving you a indicator here for Warren. You know he's obfuscated in some type of way, right? What you're seeing is what is being projected, what they want you to see, not necessarily what is actually there. But this individual, when he speaks up, is like, look, I don't think you understand what we're asking you. And I understand that she is free to make her own decision, lictor and all, but you're talking. And if you don't know, well, then that's bad for you. I don't see the point in continuing this further. Do we look like Verizon? And you'll see him go to pull something out of his jacket. She will simply lift her hand. It's not necessary. I have this. And he'll step back as if rebutted, right? It's rebuff, to calm down. And he does so. However, Warren gets a clear indication that this person has no one to answer to if you go missing. And she'll continue. I understand that your phone is of dire importance to you, and that must be terrible, considering your extensive social network you had to devour. Just to exist. Terrible that. But that's not the deal that was made with Sullivan. You all were supposed to have this place watched at all times. One of you was supposed to always be here. One of you was also supposed to report in. This was nightly. If this wasn't clearly indicated, I don't know what it's going to take. Your children, you don't understand that when you're given something that's nice to help you, you also need the instructions of how to care for the place. Fine. Allow me to give you instruction. You're currently being investigated because Sullivan lied to my face. Directly. Here. And we don't know why. And it has to do with that park. There's something that you all have done. Now, despite from the egregious violation of the traditions that you yourself have performed in the shattering of that metallic structure and doing that with a piece of rebar. Now, it's not only on camera, it's a camera that is easily picked up from the pavilion that was nearby. Security, insurance companies these days, that's what they need. Something about concerts and dealing with the city's ebb and flow and how things can get out of hand, and insurance companies like to know precisely what happened. Certain companies like to check in when a riot happens out of nowhere near their property, and these things occur. So here we are. Now, before I look at that Before I look at that and make a judgment call, it's not me to decide whether you live or die. It's me to decide whether or not a prince needs to weigh in on what he needs to do. That being the case, you need to be aware of that. Sullivan can't turn the screws and can't tell you what he needs to do. That's fine. That's his grave he's digging. And if he goes down, I think without question, you know what happens to you. He is your meal ticket and your one chance, Warren.
Yeah, I recognize that. That was the deal, right? But I can't tell you what I don't know. I'm here obviously because I was looking for them, not because we had some kind of super secret nefarious plan. I don't know where they're at. They haven't responded to me.
That's all I needed to hear, was with utter certainty that it's a routine that Sullivan cuts and does what he wants to, that you go free. Interesting. We don't keep tabs on the Sabbat we have. Very well, or former Sabbat. I'll take that in advisement. I'll be sure to report that on up. You have a nice evening.
Ma'am. And I'll just get out of her way.
As if happy with the outcome, the other guy will just nod and they'll just watch you leave. Now, here's the thing. It doesn't stop Warren. I'm going to give this to you. On walking out, you just ask security. I mean, did you see these guys tonight leave? And they'll just tell you, yeah, they left like 20 minutes ago. And, but interesting enough, that's all they say. No doubt the people upstairs know this. Do they not trust? Do they check everything? I'm going to give it to you plain. Whoever they are, their job is to exhaust every possible angle to make certain that what was said and what is being done is just that. It gives you every indicator that the ivory tower does not fuck around when it comes to a checks and balances of people they've extended leeway to. It's the exact impression you get. And considering what mysterious titles they're throwing around and how Sullivan acted last time, it's interesting. But you know this much. Your phone is being used to deflect information, or someone's eavesdropped it, or they've done something to it.
Yeah, and if I went and tried to grab a prepaid, they wouldn't trust me to answer me anyway. Well, I guess we got to keep it old school. I'll try to make my way to the Blue Velvet. See if I can find anybody else that I know. Clearly the noose is tightening and the phone ain't going to be helpful.
So in this case, I mean, it's been some time, right? 4 weeks worth of you doing what you got to do and being around. Getting to the Blue Velvet, there's a vested interest of you waiting and hoping to run into them here, to run into any character here who might know somebody. It's all you do know. And you haunt this place trying to check and see and whatnot. Here's what happens. The Blue Velvet doesn't let you upstairs, number one. You're not a member. That's simply that. You have nice engagements with the mortal scene and talking to people here, doing what Warren does. Okay, fine. I can't be up there to talk to everybody, but at least I know vampires are welcome here. You discover that, number one, there is a woman who walks around calling herself Brownwind, was a term you heard, that people refer to her de facto as being the owner of the club. It's just odd. It's brunette. She seems to be someone who's either Irish or Scottish, by what you've heard, and quite vocal with a lot of the clientele. However, it's all rumor you're hearing about her. You don't see her out here. It's just people in casual conversation. It's like, oh, yeah, I just talked to her earlier tonight. She said this, that, and the other, and yeah, we're still going camping on the weekend. It's going to be a lot of fun. Oh, yeah, great. You're going camping with Brownwind. Later on to hear people go, everyone goes to do something with Brownwind when no one's looking. Right? Like, no, you're not. Right? It's like a thing you say to be in, and you quickly pick up on this sort of local legendary trope of her. It will be odd to you that based on how you're living and periodically checking on the place that you were at to see if anyone else is stalking, right? You're checking on your phone. At least it's good for that. You realize that, yes, that strange Nas thing does come back to your house a second time. Only this time you see Thomas come with him. And what's odd is that Thomas, you see in the camera for about 30 seconds before it goes completely haywire around him. And you can't really pick up on him at all. And as he's walking around the place, you can see this lizard creature is sort of like not defaulting to him, but is like pointing to the bathroom and going on the inside there. And how do I put this? On screen, because that's all you can see is the entrance, you see lizard thing goes in, comes walking back out, and holds up the broken pieces of a mirror, and they get swatted out across the room and out of his hand. And that's really it. As they look around, and it seems like he's being talked to. Like this creature's really good for its size to shrink down low. Like every time someone's yelling at him or saying something, demagoguery or whatnot, he's trying to make himself small and kind of out of the way. And then just nods his head a lot. And the moment you'll see the blurry image of Thomas or whoever that is leave, you see the lizard thing stand up tall like it wasn't anything. It's a cold thing to see that its confidence, who it is and what it is, comes back. And what it does is it picks up a piece in the mirror, and then there's a chunk in the ground that you can tell seems to be a thick substance that's black on camera, and it's congealed blood. You remember your ductus does like to do a lot of grand displays of a corruptive nature, or I would say defilement. He most likely did spit on the ground. This creature collects it with a piece of glass. Very careful to get it all on there, and then takes it, has a hand in it, and then pushes it into its palm, right near the wrist. Opens it up, you see it shove it in, and it lets it be as it is. And it will then depart the place. You're not certain what the hell that is, but ever since that occurred and it leaves, you cannot log in and check on your place. It's like the systems are down, like they're bugged, constantly scrambled. You don't know what that is.
Fuck, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what it is. Blue Velvet, no. My house, their house. I have a vague recollection that there was another club, the one that was preposterously hard to get into some time ago, right? Slappy had an interview, and he told the guy where he could stick it eventually, but
you're referring to red number 5.
Yeah. Because at this point, I still haven't found my way to anybody I know, anybody I could even ask, like, where the hell's Ramsey, where's Sully, where's Slappy, what's going on, why is everybody ghosting me?
All right.
So yeah, maybe red number 5 is the move. I'm still on the search.
I'm with you. So just to give you total time, it's been like 2 weeks, right? So that's after the moment of you coming back from the being searching around and getting everybody caught up. That more or less catches you up on the timeline, because it's just a handful of days. And now we have it to where Sullivan has valid reasons not to respond. For Ramsey and Slappy, you will get a message from Sullivan saying, no doubt you saw what just came out from Damien. I gotta meet with the clan. We're meeting with the Prim, and that's how he refers to it. And I'll get with you when we know what we're doing. We're at war.
I will. My only response to him will be, "Don't worry, we have this, Sully," as that seems to be the only answer he ever really wants.
I have strict instructions. For that end, Slappy, that's not your experience. It's not the only text message you've been getting. There's been a couple people in the clan who, how do I put this? You ever get that feeling that you're the guy at the party suddenly not welcome? Like you were best bros with everybody and everybody thought you were cool to be around. There was no static, no bad blood. They laughed at your jokes. They wished you happy birthday when that came around. Everything was cool. Well, then suddenly they start sending you messages like, hey, good performance. Oh, yeah, I just saw you last night. It's good to see you're still working. Oh, glad to see you get stuff going on, that you're, on the up and up. Hey, hope it's working out with you and your bro. And it's like the same 3 people. However, one is Anita. And you met her from afar, and you also talked with her. And you remember some heated words came between her and you, especially in front of your sire when you were coming up. And she kind of went the way of what we call the anarch, right? That's sort of the urgings that you were told to go, and you just didn't stick with you. And Anita Wainwright, that is. And so getting them from her, suddenly something's changed for her to be that bold about it. The part that disturbs you is that there's nothing from Cornelius at all, like nothing. There is no checkup. There is no how you're doing. There is no we should talk. There is nothing. And then you get this message tonight, and it just seems that you've missed something. And because of that, you easily get the feeling you've been cut out of what happens in the clan or what's going on, and thus your in's not there. But if that doesn't alarm you, looking at the news and kind of directing where it's going, you have a feeling in some type of way about what could be going on at this moment. At least involves that, if nothing else.
Yeah, I mean, Slappy would obviously take all of that as sarcasm. Like sarcastic text, passive aggressive, I guess would be the better word. Like, and seeing the news and all that's going on, and then receiving the messages from Damien, Slappy would reach out to Anita specifically and be like, yo, like, just like straight up, like, no bullshit, like on the table, text back, be like, yo, I don't know what kind of bad blood or like what kind of way you feel about me right now, but like, I want to know what's going on. I want in.
All right. You leave your message accordingly. For that, you're given an address, like almost as if either it was waiting or its antagonism is their choice and method or whatever. It's like 15 minutes of a wait time, if that. And it's just an address that comes back from her.
Yeah, I mean, this is Bruja clan business, so I don't know if I'd invite. I don't know if it would be appropriate to invite the other two or other four members of the Coterie.
It just depends on what you would do.
Yeah, no, this is something.
Let's land on the table. Let's land on the table, though. Let's not forget what's going on. It is often a player trick of the mind that you go, there are only three people here. There's only three people I can rely on. Right? But there's a whole city, you know that, and you belong to it, and you're connected. Now, your Bruja clan relations may have waned, but they were waned before you started. You're more of an artist than you ever were an activist, even though you started as an activist. That's not who you are anymore. It's not that you don't care, but like once you realize what politics is and see that there is an element of chaos, you chose a bit of order and to try to affect things from within, which is sort of what you do. You can't expect these extremists to just suddenly decide that you're in, and you're always allowed to walk your way. Now, something happened. You were at the Blue Velvet before when a meeting held downstairs and it kind of escalated and got a hand between some people and folks felt some type of way. It's the same two people you see now are Damien threw up at you. Something's going on there. It doesn't include you. That's what you're looking to correct. Now, Bruja business. Well, I'll ask you this. Don't you think it would be a city business first to Slappy? If we're affecting things that change from within, should it be kept between a blood tie? After all, not all of you came out of the same mother, right? For that to be a case, right? It's not like it's blood family, although, quote unquote, it is blood related. It's you all were made by some sort of Bruja at some point, but that doesn't make you family. That's the misconception. And that's sort of like what we have to look at. Now, this all depends on Slappy, but I'm just letting you know from an ST perspective, that's for you to determine. If Slappy's gung-ho with the clan all the way 100%, never deviated, never broke free, we haven't kept up with what's been going on. And that could be what that is. So you might say, nah, I'm not going to include them. Flying straight, I need to go and reconnect. On the other end, they've been here throughout whatever it is they've been dealing with. Yeah. So if I were to cut him out of it now, that might seem suspect to them. And there's been some weird shit going on anyway. Should I tell them, not tell them? I mean, that's what you're looking at. I would like you to see that, at least get a chance to look at that better.
Yeah, that's good perspective from Slappy's point of view. And I would like, with that in mind, Slappy would send a text and it would just have the address and it would say, in regards to Damien, meet me here.
Okay. Now, for yourself here, Warren, you do get a text, and it's number only, and it says exactly what he says on it. It does hit you as odd. You've been dealing with a lot of radio silence and a whole lot of people really saying anything to you that weren't the mortals you've been developing relations with to hear what's going on. To that end, you have a little more insight into this riot at University of Chicago, which is why you even tuned in. A lot of the folks at the bars you were hanging out that even come into the Blue Velvet, there's a lot of stress felt. There's an entire culture of woke white students, and I put it that way because it is odd to you. You were around the era where that wasn't always the focus, and now it is. But they're pissed off. They're pissed that they feel this guilt. They're pissed that they can't look at history and say, yes, we agree it's wrong. But a lot of them are signing up to stuff like Black Lives Matter to let people know, hey, we do fucking care. And that's why we're doing this. And we don't know what it's going to take to get you to understand that you're a human being. And we think so, but we do know you're correct. And there's a lot of oppressive rules that screw everybody over. And so we march for everyone, but to definitely stop the oppression from the police and whatever. However, when you look down at your phone as a black man and you see that a cop was shot by a fucking Karen, right? University of Chicago, some altercation happened, people got pepper sprayed, and a college student shot a cop, and she's white? I mean, I'll be real, what's going on in the bars, there's a lot of black folk going, man, white people need to, like, that's crazy. You can't do that. Like, don't they know what happens when you shoot a cop? Like, that's different. It's the worst gang in the city. That criminal enterprise is going to stop on your ass fast. Karen is done, blah, blah, blah. But then you hear other people going, that's the problem. We're assuming that can't happen to them. That they're going to isolate Karen. They're going to make us stand away from her. They're going to make us not stand with her. And it's strangely, you realize that this color barrier is wow, it's scary to watch it kind of not be there. As you hear arguments that say, you know, what they're going to do is whatever rich folk are benefiting from the protection of these police, they're of course going to side with the police because, oh, it can't happen near the university. But the fact is, we have told them we need more blue lights to help protect us so we're safe at night. We needed to have more of a male presence and understanding each other on campus and widening those perspectives. We needed to have it to where a black woman or an Asian woman or any woman can go to and from and not be threatened just because she went to a party by the local faculty. It's not been the white guys that we hang out with. It's been the teachers and professors that say we're all equal, but they're the ones putting in your head that there's certain types of people you should hang with and the other types are dangerous. Don't hang around the basketball team. You hear this shit, and it's literally putting aggression in the bar your beast can feel. And as a Bruja, it's kind of like you're over here drinking water instead of beer. You know, I need to keep my wits about me with this. You can feel yourself being tweaked some type of way. It's humorous, right? It's like it's possible what has occurred is under its own power. But when you get that text, what is it that you want to do with it?
And you said it came from just a number, like my caller ID didn't work right?
You got it. Now remember, I'm going with your assumption that you went to the local 7-Eleven, paid your $35.99, got your call card. That's your new phone, because that's secure as it gets. However, the one you still technically have, you're letting whatever fool mess with it. But that's the message you get. And you're free to use the other one as well. I'll even give it to you. You have the technology. I won't make you roll to bust your head. It's not that hard to actually steal a signal, provided somebody is able to get close enough to jump that signal.
Yeah.
They just have to have the right equipment. That equipment is incredibly, or should be incredibly hard to get a hold of. But then you remember that woman in the loft that threatened you. And you remember you got some weird lizard guy stalking you.
I'm gonna respond on whichever phone that number came on. I mean that message came on. I'm gonna tell them I'm coming, but I'm not. And try to figure something else out. Something ain't right. You know.
Okay. Now, just so you know, you're sitting here looking at this phone, and the number you didn't text says I'm coming. Right? That's what you're looking at right now, Slappy. You're like, what? You know, the new user, blah, 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 comes in. It looks weird, and you're not certain what that's about. But that's what happens.
Slappy would text back and be like, yo, who the fuck is this?
Now, it gets pretty easy. When you text back, who the fuck is this? You look at who you're texting. It says you're texting Warren. But what you're getting a response back is from another number. Right? And you can easily trace it. Of everybody in the group, you have them all named, like any sane person with calling people on the phone. And it's just Warren that you get this janky response, weird-ass comments from.
Slappy would just, like, roll his eyes and just be like, man, fucking Sabat. And, like, fucking put his phone away. Like, just assuming this must be some, like, weird, like, he's got multiple numbers going on, like, trying to hide himself, like, whatever. Like, he'll see him there.
I gotcha. So that's what you get. You get that very hostile response, and you're not, what? You said you were going. That's what you get. Now, I'll let you put two and two together, right? You know, like 4 people that have your number since what happened, right? So the same group you've been looking for, that's the same group that still has your number, unless you think Critias is pulling game. And that's possible, right? Or Damien or the Prince, for that matter. You assume it wouldn't be hard for them to get it either. You guys basically had your pockets ran when you had to go and turn code, right? That's how it is. But I'll let you draw that your own conclusion there. It's entirely possible. But if we're not going to go there, I need you to think about what it is we're going to do, because you are in a circumstance where you know this riot's in progress. It's possible something says stay away, but you know there's a person looking for a reason to bury the lot of you. Whatever the group might have going on, you ran into her. She did not say she was unaware that Sullivan lied to her. She said he did lie to her, and clock's ticking, and she wants to know where he is. That doesn't bode well for you guys. And so you don't feel that sitting back waiting in a bar another night can possibly help you. However, I'm going to give you time to kind of stew with that and see, well, what am I going to do? What can be done? And we'll do that. I'll help you brainstorm too if you don't have anything by then, but I'm going to switch real quick to Ramsey. Deadpan Dan. Frying Pan Dan, excuse me. I keep saying Deadpan. Is it Frying Pan or Deadpan? I forget.
It's Fry Pan. It's Fry Pan, not because he is a good chef, but he does carry a fry pan with him, and usually to a very detrimental effect to whoever is around him.
Okay. I have both, and maybe this is a big clue for you. Could be an ST error in your favor. It's Deadpan Dan is who they've been referring to without error.
Oh, that's wrong. In these fucking messages?
Now, maybe I'm the ST to forget details like that, Brentron, or maybe I'm the ST to note exactly what I've been giving you to highlight the fact that, was it Deadpan Dan? Is it Frying Pan Dan? Which one do you prefer to call him? Which one have they been telling you in character it is? Is it a hint? Is it not? I don't know.
Right.
But I'll leave you with that. What do we want to do with Dan here at the moment?
I do want to find Fry Pan Dan, and that is in my freaking notes. This smells like a trap. God damn it.
Okay, it smells like a trap. How?
Maybe this is the paranoia getting to me and the overthinking.
You are a Sabbat scout. So how do we take that out of you?
Yeah, I go verify. I go fucking
Right.
verify. I did talk to Rot. Rot said, hey, don't worry, buddy. I'm going to go look into it. This is also the Nosferatu that will disappear for weeks on end. I don't know how long this is going to take. I'm not that patient. And I don't freaking need him. He's the one that's got first, like second, is it Arclight? Whatever. Whoever's after him is after him. I'll kill Andy, but Andy's number 2 on the list. Fry Pan Dan is number 1 on the list. So I'm going to go back to Millennium Park.
Okay, so that's your intent. You're going to go back to Millennium. I just want to help you think real quick, just a little bit. I get your character's going. I'm not changing that.
Mm-hmm.
But I need you to think like your old roots, because this feels like the sect that you're in believes in rainbows, lollipops, shiny ivory towers, and everybody has a place and everybody is in their place. They haven't dealt with a rolling war machine where a plan is a plan, but we know it changes when it encounters the enemy, and how do they deal with that? And you know one thing. I'm going to give this to you. Before you go there, what is a Sabbat's modus operandi when they're about to attack a city? What do?
First thing I remember is, well, Nosferatu were the first ones to die, but that's for a reason, right?
Okay. Let's pause there.
Okay.
What has Rock told you about his plan?
He's on the outs with him.
That doesn't make sense. Right, I'm going to help you do this. I think for a time, several game sessions, I was hoping this would click. With your recent increase in lore, I'm going to give it to you. The Nos Anti and the Nosferatu are not at cross purposes. It's the one clan. The Sabbat and the Camarilla acknowledge will do what they want, because they're effectively independent, because you can't keep tabs on them. They're going to be as they are until they are not. However, both the Cam and the Sabbat, when they're about to go to war, they tighten the noose on loyalty. And those Nosferatu, whoever are loyal, they'll go to the side they're supposed to be on, i.e. they galvanize to the group that they support. And then they decide what information they're going to give out that somehow never hurts a Warren, or somehow never hurts an underground kingdom in terms of Sabbat anti, or Nosferatu anti. So in other words, they take care of their own and then support their sect, not the sect before the clan. Should be a lot of punishment, but a lot of your Sabbat elders apparently have turned away turn a naked eye to it for the simple fact it's too damn useful of a group to decide that you're going to have another enemy, especially when they control the cards for information. So for Rot to be on the outs, is that accurate?
It might just be Nosferatu lying. Nosferatu might know something. I'm not naive enough to believe that if he knows something, he'll tell us everything.
So but the point is that the Nosferatu are compromised. We'll call it that. We got to play that by ear, which means we don't have solid intel coming to help you out. As a Sabbat scout, a Sabbat scout is not a clever thing a player says to then I get to be a guy who runs around and beats up werewolves,
right?
Howls at the moon, he gets to feed on whoever, right? That is not a Sabbat scout. You're someone who, when he's going to be, especially part of a nomadic pack, you'll go first. Sometimes months you're away from the group. You'll usually have a Vaulderie, some type of pack a ritual that kind of just reaffirms loyalty, good luck, good looking out, or you'll have your pack go, fuck that. We're not leaving you to go do this on your own. We'll go with you, but we'll stay in the outskirts, the badlands of a city, i.e., badlands meaning not trafficked by vampires easily, and they stay there while you go and operate your business and remain out of the way. Your sole focus is to go in and get a lay of the land. Where does it appear Kindred congregate at? Where do they go? What do they do? How do they hunt? What messes they leave behind? How do those get cleaned up? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And if you can't find anything and you come back and report that, fine, the pack can try to do things, but then their point is to wedge out the enemy to see what goes on so you can report that. In any way you look at this, you've done more than wedge out. The Camarilla is weak. That's the same. I've been screaming as an ST. I'm going to give this to you. You can feel free and say this. It seems they're weak as it gets. They're not the only ones feeling the pressure of this weird-ass Gehenna something going on. Because why is it that Naperville got hit as hard as it did? You had a hand in it. That should have been Archon Doomsday. They would have shut that down, locked it down. Things hunt you. They have the Tremere clan. You have Salubrianti, which, by the way, weak in comparison to what the Tremere have proven they can do. And, okay, but nothing's come down on you. No shoe, no Sabbats reached up and swallowed you whole, although you're starting to have reasons to suspect maybe that's not the case. But the Cam doesn't seem to have it together. Maybe it's the Prince. Maybe it's the power vacuum you're kind of walking into. And why did they accept the Sabbat in to flip in the first place? Should have just killed you. Obviously, there's some sort of power game going on. And as a scout, that's where the door stops of normalcy. Looking at it now, somebody had you mess with the bean. That's not even a focus, but somebody did mess with your guy. Mm-hmm. It feels like whatever is happening, yes, you can confirm that you're walking into a trap. I'm giving that to you. I don't want you to go in suspicion. You damn well know it is. Someone messed with the head of some random guy who was out there to tell you, I saw it all. Here's an iPhone. Buy some pretzels, if you recall. Yeah. It's about as suspicious as it gets. Right here it is. Well, why would they have you just go? And would that be wise for just you to go? Here's where I'm giving you the tip that Sabbat survived by what?
By the pack. The pack is everything. The Sabbat isn't really one thing so much as a collection of multiple packs that work together. So, packing it up. Even if Slappy doesn't think he's in a pack. Sorry, Slappy. We'll get to your creation right later. I'm going to call. Oh, fuck. I still have my phone, right? I still have it. He couldn't contact me. All right, I'm fine. Sure. I'll start a group message with Slappy and Warren, and I'll include Sully and Rod in it. But
here's a little known fact, and I'm going to give this to you. You can start your group message, and I think I'm going to give you, if you don't have technology in your sheet, put it on there.
Thank you.
Right now, because I think a little luck will force your character to definitely pay attention to workarounds. Mm-hmm. This is a workaround. If somebody happens to intercept a signal for your cell phone that doesn't touch their data package, that's vastly more complex. At that point, they're not just dealing with a signal to signal, they're dealing with applications, which go to a whole vast network of, are you hitting the right one? Now, what's interesting is, whether it's SMS format or it's through an app, and I can tell you right now, group messaging is incredibly easy with several different apps you can use. We're not going to get into what one your character would use, but when you send it, it's basically like being on the internet webpage, and they have an app on there where you can message someone who's also a member on the same app. Mm-hmm. That's no signal, that's internet connection. If you have it, you'll get it. And so at this point, Warren will be getting the message that Ramsey's sending out. You all will. It's a little annoying. I find it annoying If somebody has my cell phone and they have my text number, man, I'm 43. Now I'm going to get this app message. Man, what else do you need? But then again, I do use Discord, right? Which is another app that always pops up and keeps you informed. It's another method, right? And so that's what we're talking about, those workarounds. And so easily, you guys will get the message Ramsey sends out.
The messages I've been getting from Frypan are a trap. Someone's trying to draw me out, but I'm going to spring it. And I need backup to do it.
Warren will just send you back. Yeah, somebody's fucking with my signal too. I got a burner. Wasn't helpful. I didn't expect it to be, but it was worth a try. Let me know.
Slappy will text back while driving. He's like, man, I'm already on my fucking way to this place.
What place?
Yo, y'all get the text messages from Damien? What? Gotta take care of this?
Fuck. Where is that location that he sent out of pure curiosity? Did he
Which
list
one,
it there? From Damien.
Okay, so the message that Damien sent where that's going at, and apparently it said USC is where that riot broke out. It's somewhere in the vicinity of that neighborhood. He didn't give specifics.
Where's USC? All right, whatever.
Yeah, but I texted the... I'm so sorry.
You're fine.
Don't die.
I texted the address from Anita to them.
Yes.
Where we were meeting.
So I apologize. Wherever that address was, Bruno, did you have an idea of where you're going to send the meeting for Anita?
Oh, I thought she sent me an address.
No. What I'm saying, okay. Yes. It's my fault. I was like, okay, correct your head. Yes. Why this is personal to you and where Anita sent you to meet, it is in Gary, is where it is actually when you look it up. It is an abandoned church that's in Gary, Indiana. And you guys can Google on your phone to see it. It's going to take about 2.5 hours to get there. Thereabouts if you drive judiciously.
Fucking A.
Come pick me up. I'm at the bus stop.
Yep. I guess we're going out to the sticks.
Bob,
Home of
where's
the Jacksons.
You just told me where it was. What? I mean, the location. Where did you want it to be? But you told me. Oh yeah, my brain was just giving it all to you guys. You didn't pick McDonald's. Sound good? All right. Sorry, I was laughing at it. Sorry, you guys are picking up, and we're gonna bus trip this out.
Yeah, Slappy would roll his fucking eyes getting that message, and like as he was already driving out, and he would try and flip a bitch to go pick him up at the bus stop.
Okay. Your vehicles notwithstanding, yes, you guys can pick up Ramsey en route to head out there. When you see each other, it's really cool that you guys kind of have this camaraderie going on. And what you'll get is a message from Sullivan that says, "Hey, I'm en route. I'll meet you there. Just where is going to be where is what Sullivan puts down."
And then, Slappy would send back the address again and be like, Gary, Indiana, bring snacks, LOL.
He sends you a weird picture of a fried sandwich of some type. It's rather large. Looks like maybe a pork fritter. For those of you who've seen it, Warren, you can confirm it is. But that's what he sends you, and something about a Hoosier, which honestly, what the hell is that, Ramsey? You have no earthly clue what that is. But that's what he sent back in humor, you guess. But is what it is. Nonsense aside, are we doing anything on Ye Old Road trip? I'll be honest with you. Full tank of gas can get you there. It's not impossible. And unless you're driving like a sports car, and I need to know that. And
yeah, I posted the picture. It's actually a 1970 LSX Chevelle. So
we'll say it's on World of Darkness gas mileage. It's going to make it.
Nice.
Unless you want to stop and then top off, and that's on you.
Nope, we'll do that on the way back. I like Slappy seems like the kind of guy who really rides that line on E. So
right.
I know my car.
So you guys have a good long 2 hours to chit chat. I definitely do know one thing I'm going to point out. Warren is perturbed. You will more than one time catch him staring at you guys, looking at his phone. putting his phone up, looking at you guys again, like he real shifty-eyed in this car as he's going along.
Yeah, Slappy will definitely address that while he's driving, and he'll be like, "Man, Warren, what the fuck's your deal, man?"
I'll just say, man, I've been dealing with some espionage. You know, I ain't gonna front. I take a lot of care with my operational security, and it seems it has been countermanded in a way that I couldn't predict.
Slappy's like gonna like clench like the steering wheel kind of while like driving, and he's just gonna say like, "You know what?" He's like, "Before all this bullshit, I feel like I had it all, man. I had a good gig. I was playing, you know. Now all of a sudden, espionage bullshit, like some sort of James Bond movie. What? And he's like clenching the wheel, and you can see, and he's kind of like, now he's looking perturbed, and he's like, I don't know, man. He's like, I just feel like this is messing with my nut, and I get my fucking nut.
Ramsey's just gonna like side eye him from like the back. Everything's different now, Slappy, if you haven't noticed. The Camarilla is not what we were told it was. Because if it was, Warren and I would be dead and not probationary, whatever.
You looking a gift horse in the mouth? You wanted to be killed? You came to the Camarilla and you said, "Please, Mr. Prince, kill me. Don't put me on a probationary period." What are you bitching about?
That's not what I'm saying, Slappy. What I'm saying is they're weak. Far weaker than we were led to believe. And by all rights, Sabat should have killed us already. How many stories of killers did we hear, Warren, at the Esbots from the mouths of archbishops?
Man, fuck what we heard. I've met these dudes. I got clanmates in the Sabat that will do comic book shit. Like, I don't know. I expected us to be dead a long time ago.
Yeah, and we're not. That's what I'm saying. Everything's changed. From what I heard of this prince here, there's been more than some talk about how young he is. Why is one so young at the top? Why is he the alpha of this city? The apex?
It says as much about the city as it does about him. If one of their youngest was able to grab hold, either he's a savant or if they didn't deserve it. Doesn't matter, man. Let's try to not get dead, you know?
Slappy's gonna like just, you know, he's gonna kind of like release his grip from the steering wheel a little and kind of like, he's like, we're cool. Sorry. You know, just had to vent out some steam. It's been a bit since I've gotten to play a live show. It's kind of getting under my skin. Yeah, no, I'm good, man. I'm good. This ain't a Snickers bar kind of scenario.
Is it that, he'll look at his phone, is it a Hoosier scenario?
Nah, man. Let's just take care of this. Fucking anarch revolts and whatnot.
Yeah. Anyway, point of bringing this up. I'm springing that trap someone's laying for me because I'm tired of being hounded and playing these espionage games and doing nothing about it. I want to find who's trying to call at least me out and deal with that. And all these problems that are stacking up, I'm done with them.
Yeah, I dig it. Tell you what, Ramsey, soon as we're done with this, we're heading straight to take care of your thing.
Cool.
That you got the Slappy word, right? And he'll like, while driving, like hand on the wheel. I don't know if you're sitting in the front or the back, but for some reason Ramsey seems like a back guy.
What are you trying to do?
He's gonna put his pinky out and he's gonna be like, I swear, it's a Slappy pinky promise.
He'll look at the pinky, then he'll look at Warren like, what is this?
You hooked the pinky. You hooked the pinky. Just hook it, man.
And then he'll be like, He'd be like, normally I'd kiss it if you was a girl, but I ain't gonna do that. And then he'll put his hand down.
That is a weird sign of recognition, but all right.
It's a pinky promise. You can't break it, or else a storm cloud will follow you around and drop rain on you wherever you go. That's what my aunt told me, Lise, when I was a kid.
This guy.
So we're meeting Anita. Who is Anita?
So at that time, on we're meeting Anita. Who's Anita? What I need Slappy to do, since you are the Grand Ole Opry of drivers here right now, you're going to give me an intelligence, and we're going to go with, I feel pretty good we'll go awareness. In fact, I'm going to let everybody do it. Slappy, I'm going to give plus 2 dice, though, because he's driving.
Intelligence and awareness. I got that. Well, goddamn.
Does my sheet not have a lap? There it is. Okay.
Damn, Ramsey.
We're going to call that respectable. All right. I know I'll go posting in the wrong room, but I'll take it.
Yeah, I accidentally posted the car in Naperville
Right
News.
now. We're good. We're good. I won't hate on you. All three of you notice it's possible not to, that this carload of rather hot looking women go by, right? They're driving this nice looks to be like a lowrider, you know. They're Hispanic, got a lot of tattoos, but they're fairly young. And you might remember though that they who do I put this out? The club goer folks for you in red number 5, folks getting a lot of attention. There's some that like the dangerous look that Ramsey kind of had. They just weren't certain how to approach with that. And then Warren is pretty good with the ladies himself as they go by. And you'll notice in the line of traffic, it's not just you guys going. Like heading out to Gary, it's pretty steady Eddie, right? That's my way of saying that in 4 lanes of traffic going one way, you'll have 2 lanes zipping by, people cutting to go ahead. Nobody's obeying the 55. Everyone's doing about 65 to 70. Some going 85, not giving a damn, as they got places to go, things to be. And when these girls pull up to look, they're just sort of like, do the whole wave at you with their fingertips to get your attention, smiling. And, that's it. And they continue driving. You could hear there's some sort of radio music playing, and you think it's Taylor Swift. You can't really pick up the beat as you're going. And they start singing along as they're driving. And it's just an incident.
I'll let it ride. That's an unusual amount of energy for standard pop music, but I'm going to let it ride.
Okay.
I'm not hungry, so I'm not paying them much attention other than what music was blaring.
I would submit to the
attention
court.
and come back.
No one needs any instruction how to sing along to Taylor Swift. Thank you very much.
Other than having an earworm stuck in his head.
That's correct.
I don't think that's as much attention as it has.
Slappy will try and speed up the car to maintain distance with them, so that they're alongside each other. And he's just gonna while maintaining the wheel, look over and bump his head along, and then just kind of give him the good old tongue waggle.
The girls seem one seems what the hell is wrong with you? And another one of them just kind of laughing, right? Kind of picking on her friend who seems a little more prudish than the others, kind of pushing and whatnot. It's me is weird. Then you might spot a tattoo, and I believe we like tattoos because they mean things a lot of time, right? For Warren, no, it is Ramsey. Ramsey's not hungry. You made that clear, correct?
Yes.
I think with that, Ramsey, we're going to give you a roll anyway.
Okay.
I think that's fair. You have the streetwise to help out. Maybe you spot something, maybe you don't. But you definitely got the city knowledge to include into this role.
Okay.
However, I'm going to dock you 2 dice because of the nonchalant nature.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm not hungry. They're human. This is what humans do. And you're not wrong.
Is it wit streetwise, intelligence streetwise?
It is with streetwise.
Awesome. So that is still 7 dice. Yeah, no. It's fine.
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah. Chicago has a strong backing of one particular gang. They're the Latin Kings. The Kings rather hold it down. They're Latino in origin. They're ultra violent when need be. Although that's only in defending their turf lately. In fact, you understand them very well. They're more violent to other gangs than they are ever to normal street people because they're about business.
Mm-hmm.
It's the classic story that it feels like on the street that they want out. They do enough business to where maybe they're involved more in legitimate enterprises than not. And they do a lot of youth work, ironically, in neighborhoods to help people get off the street to do something better in your neighborhood and be a shithead sort of thing. And book clubs, et cetera, et cetera. You stop paying attention once you get to book club and occasional church outings and stuff like that because they've buried a lot of people is what it comes down to. And it's like one of the few gangs where the morality of loss actually serves to curb a lot of what they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
However, these girls are cholas. You know that distinctly. It's sort of an older term that predates this whole uniform gangster stuff. And what you see out here, and why it's familiar to you is because it's a dangerous element that comes out of California. LA's gangs, especially on the Latino circuit, are they're genderless. The women are just as violent as the men, and they tend to be better. A lot of times they get overlooked. The misogyny of an area tends to help them work to their advantage. They know how to work it. And this causes you to be like, oh, shit. Okay, why would a Chola group be pulling up? And when you turn, I'm going to give you, as in a chance. Actually, no, we're going to treat this pretty realistic. It's relying on Slappy's reflexes. So, Slappy, you throw your dexterity. I'm giving you 2 dice bonus from Ramsey's roll because no doubt you're going to warn him when you turn and see that there's another car. Because when you turn, it's a sawed-off that you see coming up to the window on the opposite side is how it works out. And before we do that resolution, Slappy, you're rolling your dex, and you're going to have to do a pretty smooth maneuver here because naturally you're an aces driver, right?
Oh God, no! I just that's a big old 0, my friend.
Okay, well we're gonna find out today. We're gonna learn right now how this goes.
Knew I should have brought my pig sticker.
All right.
Hey, 1 success.
Well, at this point, we're going to resolve this I'm thinking in 2 rolls we're going to have here, Slappy. That's 1 drive that counts for that is you will take a shotgun blast to the face. It is impossible, or it's a sawed-off. It's impossible for you not to feel it because it comes from the other side, but I need you to be honest. Who was riding passenger?
I think Warren and Ramsey were both in the back seat. I think that was stated in the...
I said honesty. You guys would let the driver
say
by himself.
it's to Chevelle. The back seat ain't that big. I figured Ramsey's back there by himself.
I was going to say I would be in passenger, but...
Oh, well, whatever.
If I could fit back there, I would be shotgun in this situation.
Okay, so you're shotgun.
I'm shotgun.
How it effectively works is that you're like, oh, man, and you turn, boom, and you get hit. The thing is, you weren't the target. So when Ramsey gets hit, he is getting hit in part of the chest. That spray through does serve to hit Slappy in more of the face than not. But the damage is real because when he gets hit, Slappy, I need 1 more drive roll as you're trying to stop yourself from impacting is the goal because this car, those girls open up. And Warren, you even get a glance to see it because it was like, wow, where'd that shot come from? But then when shots start firing from the girls on that side, this scene deteriorates into just ultra violence, right? Trying to see what, who, and why.
Would this be considered a non-combat test? And if so, could I activate fleetness?
It is not a non-combat test.
Okay.
It's absolutely an attempt to be both drive to maintain damage and one to do here. What I will say is that based on you using discipline use to this point, you wouldn't be able to, hence the rolling that we did, right? This was all of a notice. Like if Ramsey had celerity, he wanted to use it to do something, I would not even contest it. And him having an ability, but I know he doesn't. He has the ability to go, oh crap, and turn and react. And that's the point. Right now, the reaction is you're in a car moving. This is the danger to being in a car, right? You're not on your own power. However, unless you want to do something like open the door and let them figure it out and jump out.
I don't think Slappy would do that. I think Slappy would continue to try and like avoid after taking that shotgun blast to the face. So I'll go ahead and do the roll.
Absolutely. You could rouse if you want to try to have extra dice for the roll. That's doable. Because I don't. Well, all I'm saying is I don't personally see the advantage of celerity when you still got to rely on the car's speed and your ability to control it, right?
So I'm gonna rouse for an extra dex.
Sure. It's 2 extra dice, sir.
Oh, it'll give you 2 extra? Nice. Heck yeah.
Hunger unchanged. That's a good thing.
Love to see it. 2 successes.
So this is going to mitigate damage, right? That's the whole point. When you get hit in the face, most of it's destroyed, right? It's still a sawed off to the face kindred you might be. It's not severe in damage. These are bullets. These people are not aware of what they're fighting, and I'm going to make that abundantly clear. Now, why would Slappy know or care? Well, we'll decide what your beast thinks about this in a second. But the fact is, with that shot, jaw broken, flesh shredded, eyeballs damaged, one bulging, ocular cavity ruined. However, in that split second, you're aware of where the embankment is and that you can steer the car that direction. Like you can try to smash the girls against the embankment and we'll F them. They're living, right? And at this point, they're going to be shooting at you. Well, we can see how good their driving is, right? Mm-hmm. The effect is bullets coming from one way to the other. Everyone's going to take some type of damage. Based on your roll there, though, we're only going to put that at 2 sustained. That's what we're going to have. And
that's after the halving? That's correct?
That's after the halving, absolutely. Because what we have here is a lot of ammo being dumped in, but not by skilled shooters. What I mean is they're bold shooters, but they got point blank on their side, and they're able to decide to do it. It still takes a bit of spine to decide you're going to end the life on a free way to do it. That's from the girl side. That's where this damage is coming from. Where the shotgun blast went in, whoever that was is OG. They probably got a degree in murder, right? I'm just going to put that out there, like whoever did that, because they're not keeping pace with you guys, and it's going to matter very little here, and we're going to get to why in a second. On the other side, when a girl starts shooting and hit you guys, it's 2 Sabat we have in the car. It's 2 Sabat with a very nasty habit. However, the third member is of the Bruja persuasion. At this point, that's resolve composure for those trying to resist frenzy, and I'm talking to Slappy. For the other 2, would you bother resisting at all?
No, not at all.
Certainly wouldn't.
The only action I would take is to, I guess, help out the beast a little bit and rouse for toughness. If I can.
We want to say no.
There we go. Thank you, sir. Dice. Rouse. I've never tried this before. Let me try this. That's awesome. Yeah.
Okay.
Ooh, 1 success to maintain myself.
Okay, Slappy, you're trying to maintain yourself with 2 members of your coterie, as I'll put it there, who lose their freaking mind. So without asking that, you're in a car that you were forced to stop. That's your only modus operandi of control. They're driving on the highway. You don't know who all's involved. You were shot. You dodged and managed to pull over to the median to begin slowing down, and they went by, right, because they didn't stop. On account of you slamming on brake, you moving over, and you can barely see. But a lot of the damage that you would have taken, most of the vampiric nature of what you are is pulling back, i.e., it didn't take in your sheet as the health levels, hence why it's only the amount I gave. However, with your face healing and getting that going on, you see that they waste no time. You can forget about your car door. A frenzied Warren could care less about the fact that you had a car door you were worried about as he smushes the seat forward and slams the door open, which he can easily, as he steps out to engage this new foe. Ramsey slips out, like some sort of woodland creature. What I mean by that is it's claws distended, his fangs are out to answer the challenge, and they have bullet holes, right? Some in their jaw, some in their chest and the side, and they're out, and he's up, and you see Ramsey running ahead. It seems laughable. He's sprinting up, further up the street, looking for prey he know hit him and went ahead, and that's all he knows, and it's the parked car lights. The horror for you is seeing the fact that there are people who are pulling over, right? There was like some sort of accident, someone got shot, you guys pulled over, there were people coming out, there are concerned citizens. This is not a concerned citizen like Dudley Do Right in a Superman scenario where everybody's good and, you know, the church bus pulls over to come help out with the doctor happened to be on hand running over to check out. What this is people going, holy shit, right? Pull over, there was gunshots, we don't know what's going on, let's get away from it. And there's about 2-3 cars that are farther ahead to the same thing, slowed down to stop, some screeching to a halt. One guy tail spins, like the shots scared him or whatever, damn near hits the median himself, but it all seems copacetic as it's come to a stop. You can see traffic begin to slowing down, Slappy, in these seconds. You know that's happening. However, with Warren out there on full display is the problem. It's not like this is downtown Chicago and you were heading to Gary, you know, you're about a half hour into the trip. And it's still, you know, roads, straight shots, and we're getting to the cornfields where you're at. This is still a guy who is going to hurt people. And you have 2 of them. Now, why are they going to hurt people? Here's a bit of a misnomer for you. For those who let go and give in to the beast does not care about anyone who's not in their pack and they have a tie to, which means Slappy's in as much danger as anybody else who's out here. The advantage is Slappy didn't shoot him. You got a choice. Sharks are circling in the water here. That's the analogy we're using. And you're not bleeding, and you're not in the water right now. You're in the boat. They left here to go look for who hurt them and to answer that accordingly, which is extreme rage. What are you doing right now, Slappy, as you barely have a handle on it yourself? By the way, your beast seems antagonized to do the same thing. That blood to rebel, that Bruhan nature you have, is definitely at an all-time high. Who would dare shoot you driving down a road and why? And someone needs to answer for this.
So are both of them like running up the street right now, or could
right now
like...
they hopped out? Warren's crowing, and crowing's a bad term. He has howled his challenge, and to the parked cars nearby that have people in them and folks pointing, kind of freaking out. They're in an initial shock. Warren's moving. He is running toward the nearest car. That's behind you. Ramsey is sprinting ahead to catch where someone came from. You begin to wonder if Warren even know who, what, or how other than it happened. Nor does it seem like he freaking cares at this moment.
Right. So with if Slappy, if I understand the situation correctly, Slappy would like to keep his back turned to like the ongoers, like the people who are pulling up, and try and get in front of Warren and just kind of be like, sorry, buddy, and hit him with a dread gaze.
Okay. So you're going to try to engage Warren, i.e. fight Warren. I want to make this clear. I'm going to dispel you of something. Dread gaze is not going to help you against a frenzied vampire.
Okay.
You're basically going to draw his attention. If you're successful, you will get his attention from everybody else. But look at this equation, right? Let's say you're insane with anger, which is basically what a frenzy is. You're at a homicidal rage level. And someone jumps up to say the most evil and vile shit they possibly could do in an attempt to troll you into attacking them. Right? Or that would be embarrassing and need to leave. Really, it doesn't matter. That person's not going to hear the words. You know what I'm saying? Where dread gaze is a display of get away from me and get off me, it's best utilized before this happens, right? Before the beast gets involved. Now, that said, maybe I should be more fair to this and just say it is harder to affect dread gaze to the point of I'm suggesting you're going to be leaving yourself open, relying on your sheer presence to ward off the frenzied vampire is what I'm letting you know. That's what's really going on. And It's a gamble that I want you clearly aware of before we do it. Because if it doesn't work, you're at his mercy.
Yep. So with that in mind, I would like to change my action.
Sure.
And I would like to rouse for prowess and try and grapple Warren into the ground, like, and hold him down, basically.
And still the difference is the same. You're grappling and trying not to hurt him. He will be trying to hurt you.
No, I'm going to try and hurt him. I'm not.
Okay, so you're trying to hurt him.
Yeah, I need to hurt. From Slappy's perspective, he can't let there be a butchering on the side of the road. So if he has to fucking knock Warren into incap in order to save these people's lives, he'll do it. And Slappy believes himself to be the baddest motherfucker this side of the.
We're okay with that. We're okay with that. As long I just need to hear you say that there is no gentle way to hold this guy back.
No,
because he's trying to mess you up, and you're agreeing to engage in that, right?
We want to play Sabat games. We'll get Sabat prizes. Like we'll fucking
Okay. Well, I'm gonna help you out with this because round one you're engaging with Warren. Remember, they have a tie. That's the thing Slappy's going to remember. The moment you engage with him, you'll watch as Ramsey flips around. It's like an instinct that you can't understand. But it's like Ramsey knows danger and knows something's happening. Where he can't get the cars ahead of him, he'll turn because when Warren shouts and howls at you as you're in his way and you begin to fight, you can hear him running up to you. He's coming your direction. I promise you it's not for a hug. So what we're going to do here, this is a multiple combat because you've agreed to engage one. They're a pack. You guys are just in a coterie, right? This is the effect of this. I'll give you guys the options. We can roll this out blow for blow. We can call this over in 2, over in 3. We can be narrative only. It is your choice how you guys want to do this.
I mean, I'm fine with narrative only. It generally drags out the scene if we're rolling dice. And I mean, I can kind of see how this will go.
Maybe. Berntron, what's wrong?
My Amazon just did a very, very loud alert that I got a package and scared the shit out of me. But to actually answer your question, I'm down for the narration.
Okay. All right. What about Mike and
that's 3 for narration. These guys aren't my adversaries. This can play out how it needs to play out.
Well, they're not your adversaries, but it's going to adversaries. That's even a word. They're not your adversaries.
I know what you meant.
Here's the effect. Slappy does begin sticking Warren like he knew how to fight from the old days. What I mean by that is he's a guy who grew up in a different neighborhood and it showcases, right? Slap, when you hop out and Warren goes to blitz you to get his hands on you, you start sticking him with jabs, right? That's what you're taught. Keep a stronger opponent at bay and start lighting him up. And you put a little sweet chin music. And what I mean by that is you boot him in the head. It's like jab, jab, and then you just kick him full on in the head. But you're watching as the beast could care less, right? The kick to the head is basically keeping his fangs from getting into you as you're able to brace him against the car and you decide you're going to light him up. That's not what he cares about. When he gets his hands on your side and you feel your ribs break from him picking you up and you know he's going to slam you down to the car, the horrible fact is that you're prepared to get slammed down on the car. You're not prepared from when Ramsey dives into you like a wild animal. And you realize what Warren has done is picked you up to slam you down to maintain a hold as this sort of pack process happens where they're tearing flesh and getting you down to the bone and try to disable and do whatever they got to do, right? That's the effect as you realize the horrible constraints you're in until you yourself do give into frenzy. It's impossible for you not to at this point. This is live or die is where you're facing, and that's what you feel. That changes things a bit. Once that happens, and that seemed to be where you were at, all 3 of you are going to come to in different states. For Slappy, you are healing. You're rapidly healing from being incapacitated and parts of your organs are missing. And you can see him strung about. You've been disemboweled. That was inevitable. You can feel your broken ribs, some completely shattered out of you, but you also have teeth that are embedded in your fist. You have glass that's all over in your back that you're pushing out, all that fun stuff. You do see that there are squad cars. In fact, there are 3 of them. 2 are apparently some sort of sheriff police lights that you can see nearby, and these cops they're not moving. Right, 1 is completely exsanguinated, and Warren comes to, dropping it. As you can see, the damage that he sustained earlier is healing at a rapid pace. The problem is Warren doesn't give a shit. When he drops it, he goes from night and day. Right? What you mean is you get that rage contained in, and you feel it's spent. Warren drops the empty husk of some cop and turns to you like trying to figure out what's going on. Warren, from your perspective, someone shot you and you're not even certain if you got them. You're not even certain what happened other than someone attacked you and you responded in kind. You can tell because your bones are healing. Your face took a lot of damage. You can feel that pain as you're pushing it out. You're healing at a decent clip and you just killed somebody. You just got done feeding the beast doing what it should. For Ramsey, you have to pull yourself out of a car, and you're not certain how you got there. You're head first planted on the inside of a vehicle, glass all around you. Your sides are cut up, but you're laughing because you have an arm. And you're it's kind of a weird thing to wake up to. You're like, okay, is this a cop car? It is a cop car as you're looking around, but you're not certain how oh, dear God. As you're looking, it's what's left of the cop in the seat. You have an arm. What you sawed off and cut, and the cop tried to dive out of the vehicle, get away from, you gouged him open and practically filleted him on the side. Looks like a bear just ripped into him and left what was there. And you tore at him to get him. You can feel the bullets being pushed out of your back as they're slowly hitting the ground. And there's blood everywhere. It looks like there was a massive car wreck, although there is no car wreckage. It's just dead police. At this point, the count is 4. I'd say you hear the other 2. They are on the other side of the car, one screaming for backup. Just screaming for backup, like he's panicked and broken. You know what the sound is when terror gets a hold of someone? That's one. The other guy is reloading. You can see him trying to get the guts to reload his shotgun. Looks like he's maybe 24, if that. Maybe he got the job to be out here so far and watch speeding tickets. You're not real certain what the deal is, but he's shaking far too much to load the shotgun because he knows how ineffective it is. Mm-hmm. That's because you guys were shot. All 3 of you you're within 60 feet of each other to see that whatever happened, someone came up and decided you had to be stopped and did what is their function to do. It didn't save them. You have traffic that's blocked and backing the other way, people trying to back up. Some cars were abandoned as people have ran. The one thing in your head, I do mean the one thing in your head, there is no effing way that people didn't get some type of footage, some type of whatever. In other words, you can look at that and feel the weight of shit. Mm-hmm. This is how that happened. However, for those of you who have politics, and I will say wits, you can roll that at this point.
Oh, I have un dot.
Or if you have anarch lore, it's even better. Now, I allowed specialties to happen if you remember at the beginning of this. That's why Ramsey, I believe, has lupine lore. Mm-hmm. You could throw it in, and others could have done the same. It's up to you if you did or didn't. If you did not, copacetic. If you did, I'd include it. All right. Hot hands in a dice game, eh, Mike? We'll let that be what it is. What you surmise easily, we're going to give it to the 3 as you can piece this together looking around. Maybe it's because you spent a lot of time talking to people and kind of seeing what's going on, being Sabat transitioning to the Camarilla. This is some Camarilla bullshit, is what you immediately think of. It's got to be that. And then you're like, wait a second. No, this is some Bruja bullshit. That's what you really strongly feel. I say that because what happened? And you can break it down rapidly. You were told you were coming somewhere, an address was given, you were headed there, and then this happened. Who else knew you'd be out on this road? Who was looking for who for doing what? Mm-hmm. You're not certain what's going right. And who is this Anita chick? That's what enters your head. Trying to figure that out for Warren. For Ramsey, the only thing you know is that whoever it was didn't succeed in killing you, and scales have been balanced. Folks found out they don't hunt what you can't kill. Yeah. Right? Is what you. it's another day, right? And we gotta figure out how it is. For Slappy, Fubar. Right? This is a situation that's bad for it to be what it is, and some type of thing has to happen to put a lid on it. Because even if you survive it, out where you're at, if word gets out that you're involved in this and people can piece that together for you guys, it's another nail in the coffin. It's only so many times that pendulum can swing by before it splits you open. But
go ahead.
Sorry, to give Slappy this with your experience with Anarchs, you know you're going to need this is Anita bullshit. I'll give you that. This is something she would do. A shitty tactic. You get somebody to test their mettle or whether or not they can hold it together, get them to violate before they get to where they're going to talk to her. It puts you in her pocket. You wouldn't even doubt it if one of those guys, one of those people that were in the back were taking photos deliberately to have blackmail and a hold over whoever comes to meet her as a form of leverage. It would make sense. because you were set up. This was a trap.
Gotcha. So I'm at in cap, right? As far
So,
as
in healing, though, what I meant was over and done is the fact that there's enough blood nearby where my assumption in the narration, you agreed to the narration, the end result would be two seasoned Sabat fighters versus a seasoned Cam fighter. They won out. You were trying to maintain control as long as you could, but they're trained to fight in that frenzied state. This wins over. Also, it's 2-1. It's not that you didn't give as good as you got. It's that in the end, they're going to come out on top. However, they weren't looking to kill you. But I would say this is the separation. To help Bernogo understand. The difference between the Sabat and the Cam is always going to come down to the fact expertise and experience in losing yourself to the frenzy, using the beast or riding the beast, or whatever you want to call it, is also knowing where a line is. I.e., we're comfortable in what we're doing. You weren't the enemy. However, you made yourself one, and they responded in kind. You tried to stop a pack mate, the pack responded, but maybe there was a mutual respect. You didn't sit there and let yourself get torn apart, but you weren't the goal. You were just what got in the way of what they wanted to do. And so after dealing with you, they turned to go to greener pastures, as it were, but there was nothing nearby but to feed at a point. That's what the beast wanted to do. Violence upon parked cars from what they assumed must have been the victims. And you can see that clear as day from what they chose. The cars and victims that we went at, you could see that Ramsey tried to target a car that must have had maybe a few more people in it that looked younger than not, because let's just call it a reaction that wouldn't happen in any other situation but this. Somebody nearby believed y'all were vampires. I'm going to promise you that. That's because the keys are still in the car. The car's still in drive, right? Like somebody had their foot on the brake. But when you guys started fighting, they left the car and ran. But Ramsey apparently was going to go run at the car, run at those people who were running. And you only know that because the car is like slowly like grinded in. And you can see that it's not fully in park. And it took off, and Ramsey's the closest to that one. However, he pulled himself out of the cop car that pulled up over there. So whether the cops got them out of here or the people ran when that happened, you're not certain. But you're drawing conclusions I'm going to allow you to paint in. It's the nature of what it is. So yeah, so you in cap, we're going to hand wave that too. There's enough blood to heal what it is that happened to you guys, right? This is not aggravated damage. And there's plenty of blood nearby for you to get to slake your thirst. Could you get to 0? No, I'm going to state that right now. Nobody here willfully killed anybody in that act. You were just feeding to heal.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah, Slappy will just like fucking kind of like look at everything, and then he'll just be like, shake his head, and then get back in the car and be like, get in.
Your car that's missing like a door?
No, the other car, the one where the keys are still in.
Okay, good.
Where
That's
it
what I
looks
was
like it was
thinking,
abandoned. Too. Yeah.
Okay. You guys got yourself a nice, brand new, happy-go-lucky SUV of a type we won't get into. Only because this is highway. No, I didn't plan 40 cars for you guys to randomly pick one. So here we're going to use ST Magic, right? It's the SUV you see. It's not souped up. I can tell you it is average. There's a lot of people who travel between Gary and the city from time to time to do whatever activity it is. And whoever they were, they had McDonald's, right? You could just fresh food was ate in the back that you could smell that grease scent. Not stain, but maybe. But in the back, there isn't a car seat, so that's a plus to some of you who care to have a conscience. There's none of that to worry about. But there is college books. There's a bag or two, and there is a CD that is playing in the deck there, and they don't need to because they have Sirius radio. So this car is either recently bought at a dealership or they just kept up with the prescription and subscription, whatever you want to say. But people were in it, they enjoyed it, and they weren't too tall as the driver. If you're of the persuasion of 5'5" or taller, you have to adjust the seat to let you in. Do people stop you? The answer is no. Can people see you? Hard to say. Looks like most folks are hidden and staying out of your way because you are the aggressors and the killers. They're reacting like anybody would react if you saw that the supernatural world is real and cops can't save you.
Slap, who is this Anita person that we're supposed to be meeting out here? Because, I mean, I think we've all kind of gathered. We just got fucked.
Yeah, this is Slappy will like kind of pop his lips and be like, "This is right up Anita's alley." As far as who Anita is, she's
So we kill her.
Mm,
She tried to kill us.
no.
She didn't win.
Yeah, but she did. We're playing Camarilla games. I'm gonna need you to pump the brakes there. After y'all both disemboweled me. Look, Anita. Just to be completely honest with you, Anita's my. I don't know, man. I don't know what the fuck you call it. Like sister in blood.
Sure, but it can't be too close a relation because you just tried to burn us on the freeway.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying like that makes her a good person or nothing. I'm just trying to give you what I got, right? We're both so y'all familiar with Cornelius?
In passing, I know what the guy looks like, but we ain't friends.
Yeah. So fucking Cornelius Furious Black is my sire. Also sire to Anita, right? Big Black Panther guy. Me, I used to be much bigger in the movement than I was. I know based on what y'all are seeing from me lately, I play the trumpet. It's what I do. I stepped away from that life after I, fucked up, to put it simply. Now we've been tasked to go meet with Anita to try and call off Carlisle, essentially.
Before we give a response further to this, I want everybody to take a moment to pause, anybody who watches this, and you guys when you watch it later. Other than Mike enjoying a delicious Danish or whatever that is, I want you to take a look at Warren, right? And I want you to take a look at Slappy, and for a moment, fade out the players. The look that was drawn on Warren is the exact look that he's given to Slappy. As Slappy starts saying, hey, man, I was a player back in the day with the whole Black Panther movement and everything else that went on. Warren's like, what? Right? That's the exact look on his face. Like, you say, what? He's just like, there's just doubt. And Slappy, you're used to getting this, but it's hard to do it. You're dressed nice. You're a club guy. You play the blues. But Warren isn't saying one way or the other from his description, but I just felt it fun to note that is the look, right? This is the traditional standoff for you, Slappy.
Slappy like rolls his eyes, like seeing Warren's look, and he's like, look, man, I know what you're thinking. White boy, Black Panther, whatever. I was woke way before woke was being cool.
Yeah, I hear you. We'll put a pin in that, though. I feel like I remember you. But regardless, I'm talking about, you said tasked, and what could we possibly have to say to Anita after this fuckery out here on the freeway is what I'm trying to get you to explain.
Man, I don't know what the fuck. Look, I reached out to Anita to try and set up some sort of ceasefire, but clearly that shit ain't working, and now she's got leverage on us. That was the whole purpose of this. It's got to be. We're going to show up. She's going to have pictures of y'all and me, because I don't know what the fuck I did after y'all started eating me or whatever you were doing. But she's going to have shit on us, and it ain't going to be good.
When he says that, I will look in the rearview mirror. I think you saw what happened with the.
Man, I saw most of it.
It's all behind us now, literally. Are we still talking with Anita? Is that the fucking Camarilla game procedure?
Oh yeah, we're still talking to Anita. At least I am. I can drop y'all off.
Fuck, man. Pay attention, Slap. You said we're playing Camarilla games. We're not anymore, right? We're talking to this random lady trying to get her to not do this thing that Cam doesn't want her to do. She's not towing the line. They already halfway want us dead and we're giving us rope to hang us with. I don't know if you've noticed, somebody's already been disrupting our ability to communicate with one another. So we're getting hunted by a certain third party. And I bet you can imagine who that is, right? We don't have anything to fucking talk to Anita about. Bruja problems are not our problems right now. We need to decide how we're going to survive the next few nights where somebody with the capacity to disrupt my cell phone. Man, I got halfway rich with just this phone and my mouthpiece. I don't care about what the Brujah are going through in Chicago.
It ain't just the Brujah though. Is a lot more than that, man. Like, this is fucking. We've been tasked by Damien to do this. You all got the text.
While you're saying that,
Damien?
Ramsey does put his phone down. Yeah, we're gonna talk to Anita. We're gonna find out where this Genghis is, then we're gonna fucking kill her, or bring her to Damien.
For what?
Maybe that's more in line with Camarilla Games.
So you guys are driving. I'm assuming you're driving.
Mm-hmm.
It becomes clear being on the road doesn't make sense, right? I'm going to give you logic, right? We're just going to do this. As you guys are talking along, you're going to pull off the road. You're going to go somewhere that seems remote, right? It's not the highway, wherever you are, and that's just it. There is like a who cares side road. You drive past the gas station. There's this open field that you pass in front of, and it feels like it's the same field on repeat. Not because it is. It's no weird trick. It's just there's not a whole lot that is being produced right now in this time of year, as we're ramping up to a full spring. We ain't there yet. And as you're driving by, it's like that's a farmhouse in the distance, and they have some stuff, and you can smell fresh pig manure being poured out somewhere. It's just it's not here as you're driving away from it. We've all been in this American style side of the road type of environment when you pass it, right? And it seems to go on forever. Now, why it makes sense is because whether it's a fire road you took to get here or you're bypassing, you're putting lights in the distance away from the highway. You've exited the highway. If this isn't what you want to do, that's fine. Give me an idea of your alternate and I'll take it. But I'm being generous in saying you wouldn't just have it out while driving on the highway where you just committed the crime, knowing there are surviving police, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, we would definitely, at least Slappy would take those fire roads. I think that, yeah.
Yeah, no disagreement from me. I wouldn't want to be on that freeway.
No, not after what just happened and with the cops and whatnot, knowing that, you know, they got our description. So, and then,
continue.
Yeah, Slappy's just gonna be like, look, man, I'm gonna lay it out right now. And he's like, Ramsey, Warren, y'all don't have the right of destruction. It's not how it's done. We can't kill Anita.
Neither do those fucking cholos on the freeway or the police were just splattered everywhere. None of them got the right of destruction.
Then we torp her and bring her to Damien.
The same Damien who's going to stomp a mud hole in our ass on behalf of the Prince, who definitely now has to kill us because of what just happened.
Well, there's Anita now... Yeah, go ahead.
There's nothing we could do talking to Anita that would outweigh the damage that we just did on the freeway.
So what I just don't, I never understand. It's like some shit happens and it gets too real and then we're like, oh, now we got to turn back. She's got leverage on us, dude. We got to that's what we're doing.
She got leverage on us anyway, bro.
Yeah, she's but now we look, she's got the upper hand. So now we've got to try and fucking twist the fates. I don't know what she wants. I don't know why she would do that to me. But I need to learn. So, like I said, if y'all aren't comfortable with it, fine. I'll pull over. Like, we'll fucking figure it out from there. I don't want to obviously leave y'all out here. Police will find your asses. I don't know. But I gotta talk to her. If this ain't you guys, that's fine. But this is my fight. So I'll take it.
Well, do I see anything in the area like a farmhouse or a road sign? A metal implement.
Yeah, there is a road sign, and that is a metal implement. And yes, you can see a farmhouse. You pass one, or you assume you'll see another one at some point.
I'll just say to Slap, give me like 7 minutes. I'm gonna do my thing, and whichever's closer to me, whether it's like the farmhouse or a barn or the road sign, I'm not particular at all. I'm about to craft a melee weapon and come back to the car.
All right. So Slappy, you're instructed to pull over, and Warren hops out as you guys are sitting. Assuming you're just gonna see what the hell he's doing, and then come back.
Yeah, Slappy's just lets the SUV idle.
So, Warren, you're going to just grab a road sign and turn it into a weapon.
Yeah, because I figure I can probably snap those little bolts. You know how they sit it in, the stalk has all the holes in it and they screw them on? If it's not planted in the concrete, I figure that's my best shot.
Well, it is planted in the concrete because that's what those signs do when they're on roads of that caliber, right? It's not that somebody put in a metal sign in the ground and didn't plan for it to weather and handle and be around. So that is an effect. So at this point, I'm assuming we're going to use some sort of impromptu boost of supernal strength of some caliber, but I'll let you tell me how you're doing it.
Well, I wouldn't bother if I don't see I don't know, I don't have the vocabulary for it, but you know how the metal stalk thing has the holes punched into it all the way up the sign as if somebody wants to change the height or something. If it ain't like that, I'm not gonna fuck around and waste time out here. I'll just go back to the car.
So you're gonna bend and work, and you're gonna spend some blood, and you're gonna try to use potence to break and make a sign. That's all I'm confirming.
That was the goal. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna need 3 rouse checks. That's because you're not somebody who is so strong with your potence that this is easily done. You're not an elder, right?
Right.
Someone's
Right.
worked into it, and accordingly, that's what you have to do. So that's what you're figuring out. Just a rouse. You will eventually be able to do it, but for those watching, he's kicking and bending one way and then does it to the other side and is working it in the ground by grabbing either side of it, obviously trying to warm up the metal to get it to a snapping point. When he does, he's going to pull this sign free. And then at that point, he begins trying to bend some odd angles and whatnot to get it to be a weighty end, but one that might slice you up if you got hit with it. Probably not going to last a whole lot, but then he has the challenge of fitting into the car, which he'll do, right? And if you guys don't tell him not to bring in your weird-ass melee weapon, I guess that's that. Is we'll have an improvised what is there. It's a cow crossing sign, and it's only because I don't know what the hell else they would have out there on the farm. In fact, my brain goes, could do it to a stop sign. Certainly they got those. And there's some, nice yellow signs for parked, whatever, but we're going to have fun. And it's a cow crossing, right? It's a picture of a cow's back end and, the picture of the bell that's silhouetted out and crossing the road. And, like a nice farmer had a sign they paid to have put out there. You have destroyed it in your Bruja Wrath to make a weapon. And you're armed.
Speaking of Bruja Wrath, I don't know what you did to that die spot, but it is holding a hell of a grudge.
It loved me a second ago, I swear to God, and now it hates me. Hates my guts. I'm at hunger forward, Bob.
This makes sense. Like, if I'm serious, this is why I think V5 blood system is fantastic. It's a crazy idea, but you can do it. But it took a lot out of you, right? You were hungrier for it. For you to note, though, looking back, Ramsey just on a hunch, just looking, he almost pulled that concrete that was down there right on out of it and working this out of the ground with how hard he went at it. Bruja are like, they're devastating apparently if you leave them to work on something, and that's the effect. Cool, but the results are there, and you'll kind of chuckle because there is a farmhouse. Do you know what happens when you live in a farmhouse and someone grabs a sign and you're probably from that house and you're looking out the window? What the hell is that car doing parked by the sign? Well, that is a very angry black man that can easily bend the sign one way and then another.
You close the curtains, Bob.
Yep. And I'm just going to give it to you guys. When you looked, you definitely saw some people go, nah.
Nope.
Nah, that's okay. Right? Whatever happens, happens, and we'll just report it to the local authorities because that's what they're there for.
Now that I have armed myself, I'm satisfied.
Slappy's just gonna kind of like watch Ward get into the car and be like, "You good now?" Or
he's not good now, Slappy. When he gets back into the car, he looks paler. His fangs aren't up, right? He's sitting there looking around, and whatever he's about to say, imagine it's like this. You know what I mean? Like he's given into another side of him that's hoping he could hear a limping deer goes by, or maybe a slow child running home late at night. Like he's praying for scenarios where meals are not so challenging.
Rotund, the first grader.
Right.
No, I just say, for the record, while we take the rest of this trip, I'm on the Ramsey plan. Fuck Anita.
It's a compelling plan.
Slappy shrugs his shoulders and he's like, I mean, just let me talk to her first, and then we'll work it out together. I get you. I get y'all's perspective. I'm mad too. I'm angry. Look,
we're gonna talk it out. I think she sent the Tay Tay squad to fucking shoot us in the head. I just want to make sure we remember how this happened.
Look, if y'all want to show up with like inflex, that's fine. Like I think that's a good plan. Like if y'all want to, I don't know, knock some heads on the way in. I mean, that's cool with me. Just don't kill nobody, right? Like, can we agree?
No, we can't. But I can agree to let you talk first.
Okay, fine. Let me talk first, please. Just consider it, please. Like, I hate that. Like, I never thought I'd be asking this. If you would have asked little Slappy playing on the porch, talking with Granddad, yo, Slappy, you think you're ever gonna have to tell two people in an SUV not to murder somebody? I think you get my point. And he'll put the car in drive and get going.
Oh, man. All right. Talk to me, fellas. What is it? What is our goal here? Other than to extract the cat.
Cat extraction is a very difficult and dangerous prospect.
It is for me. This cat hears your voices and wants to join you into the ether.
It's like they're both a liquid and a solid, right? You grab them and they just kind of spill out of your hand.
Because he knows, right? But let's keep this on the level.
So my intent, Bob, I fully intend to let Slappy say whatever he thinks he needs to say. Mm-hmm. I also fully expect that this is going to go real bad real quick. That's why I got my whooping stick.
All right.
I thought you were going to call it Bessie, but all right.
So Slappy's intention here is he wants to meet with Anita and he wants to learn why she sent out a fucking Latino hit squad after him. And he wants to learn why he's on the outs with the Bruja clan right now. And he also, basically, he just wants to talk to her to learn what the fuck is going on. Like, why have I been getting these texts? Why are you trying to kill me? I knew we weren't cool, but I didn't think we were that not cool. Like,
trying to figure out what's going on is the long and the short of it, right?
Correct.
I'll point out there's some things we haven't done, right? Before you get there, I'm just saying not everything was done the way it should be in terms of information, and that's okay. For player edification, this is a learning experience as much as other times. It is weird that if we had a sire who's a mentor, we didn't call him. If we know they're involved, right? In that regard. Felt that we couldn't. Things happen that way. It's okay. If Anita was involved, this is a sibling. You didn't call her, right? You texted her, and that happened. But at the side of the road, it's weird you wouldn't do that. But we're going to walk into the lion's den nonetheless, thinking she's the one who set you up to get shot. And dealt with, so she got dirt on you. No problem. That's what we're doing. That's what I want you to hear that neutrally, Bernogle, to get an idea why they're like, clearly we're already screwed and something worse is afoot. That is because when you pull into this church area, and I'm going to get you a photo here, because I feel you're worth it. You may not feel that you're worth it, but I do. I think that your character, that is, would feel that they're amazing people with, they want to live, right? That's the effect that I get anyway all the time. And without further ado, the abandoned church is no joke. It is like behind what is a recently renovated some sort of Methodist business building. You're not even 100% certain by what it is. They have a former city Methodist church is what you're pulling up to on the property, but it's confusing with the main highway that's in the front as you finish the trip in. The other effect is this place isn't exactly on the up and up. What I mean by that, when they said it was an abandoned church, you didn't think it was like, man, it's really abandoned, is all we're going to say here. Rundown doesn't begin to say it. This wouldn't protect most people to walk into it from anything at all. In fact, you can tell that the locals have used it for meetings more times than not. And let me get this just right. But even before that, and despite that, you have a lot more going on. The cars in the lot, there's you. You don't see that there's 4 or 5 other cars parked or a cavalcade of bikes or anything at all. It's just the building and the parking lot. Pulling up to one side of it, the wall's completely torn out. I'll even give it to you that you pull up and let the lights hit. You don't visibly see anybody nearby.
When we pull up, Slappy would go ahead and he'd send a text and be like, "We're here. Where you at?"
It's a couple things you might think about doing. And I'm going to give those advantages to everybody else, right? So if you pull up and all you see is an empty building, you don't see anybody there. Kind of suspect, to say at the very least. Yeah. And when you text and you're waiting there for a little bit, you will get a response. And what all it says in there is that I see you. And then a couple seconds later, you coming in with a question mark.
Slappy would step out of the car. And he'd be like, "Y'all coming, or you want to hang out and wait for my safe word or something?" I don't know.
Yeah. Fuck it, and I'll hop out of the car like Bam Bam with my whooping stick.
I'll head out there, and as soon as I get out of the car, I'm gonna actually. Does that require? I'm gonna use heightened senses, focusing on hearing.
With that, stepping out of the car and focusing on hearing, what you're distinctly going to hear is what sounds like radio chatter. You will hear it. It's in the distance. It's coming from up in the rafters on the inside of that building you guys are walking towards. It's very brief. It's hard to pick out, but you hear it clear. 3. No. Right? Like and the pauses I'm giving is because it's a lot of static that you're picking up, and then no is what you get. You can't hear what's being said on the other end. You don't know how many there are, but it's loud enough, and someone either isn't aware how loud they are in a quiet lot, or it's sus, as they say in the biz, or suspect, if we like to use all the words or all the letters in the word. So I prefer to. That's the effect. But Slappy is what I like to call doing the Vince McMahon walk, coming into the ring, as you challenge my authority, right? Exactly. It's like, what the hell? We don't figure out what's going on. You do see that. Backed up by Warren, are you doing anything ranging?
I'm going to go forward a little bit behind the other two so that we have some spacing, but I'm just going to be focusing on listening to that guy. If he's like, now, take him now or something like that.
Okay. You don't hear that.
Right.
But as you go walking, I'm assuming the broken part, you're going to go to the door, Slap. I don't know what your interests tend to be unique.
Slappy's going to use the door. He's not a fucking animal. Okay. And he'll walk into the church.
It's hysterical that you use the door, by the way.
Yeah.
Go to it. You can hear the snickering from the people in this room, and I'm just going to label some of them up here. Give them a name now, and we'll just assume here later we'll pick this out. One easily. And one other group that's actually with her, which is rather, telling, I feel. Let me get this out here. Boom, pow. I'm in the wrong spot. Let me flip this around. Do. That's my fault, by the way. When you start singing jingles of stuff you bring up in game, I'm the only one who does that. Suddenly you're thinking all that McDonald's nonsense that you shouldn't have in your head.
Happens to me all the time.
What you do. All right. We're going to use that here. That's too revealing. This is ST skipping. I apologize. Typically, I'm on the ball with this. Where did I stash it? Yes. Pile.
Hmm.
It's the timing of it that's important. Because of your time with the friendliness of this is Slappy I'm referring to, hanging out in Brewhaville, there's rumors of a woman you knew by the name of Riot. And what it is that there's always one, right? Where your side is, peace and everything's great, all that stuff's going on. There's always an anarch that refuses peace. It's like a calling card. No matter what, there's going to be an anarch that would rather die with their boots on than submit, right? That's the effect. And this is no different. This anarch in question is reputation alone would rather go down fighting than anything. And you're not expecting this crowd to be with her that looks like some sort of defunct bikers, maybe given immortality or what have you. But they do stand around. It's these two women who are here, but they do not look friends. Very much how I have the photos here, it seems that the overall group is there with Anita making calls. This character that you know to be Riot is in the corner just hanging out. Ramsey, you still haven't lost note that you had trouble seeing them from outside. It wasn't until he knocked on the door to open in that either somebody gave the word or the confirmation. He's on the inside, and you still don't see who is up top.
Mm-hmm.
There's someone up there, and now you don't hear the radio at all. As Slap, you're there to enter, and the rest of you can come inside. Anita looks annoyed. I'd say every bit that the image portrays here as they have drawn.
Slappy will enter and he'll be like, have his arms out and be like, good of you to make time for me, huh?
She'll roll her eyes and like, look, Slap, I didn't do this because I wanted to.
Why'd you do it, huh?
You'll hear, right? She didn't have a fucking choice.
Slappy will look to Riot and be like, sorry, gotta forgive me. I'm missing some pieces here. I thought that, I asked for this and figured there was a little love going on. Maybe, some affection, but looks like I was wrong. So can y'all fill me in?
You'll hear, it's Anita. She'll just raise her hand. You're not getting it. I'm not from out here in Gary. I'm from the cities where I'm at. That's where I try to help our kind get along with everything else. I team up with Genghis. Keep a pretty tight ship. Things don't always go the way they should, but for the most part, Kevin Jackson's on the level, and that's okay. That shit changed. And I'm curious as to how or why or what's going on myself, but I don't get to answer those questions because there's a lot of people who should be dead that aren't dead that are doing things they shouldn't be doing but are. Now, that's as much as I know. What's going on in the city now is a war that erupted. And it's basically, we're brought into it. There's no way to look at it. It's going to stretch all the way out here. That about brings you up to speed. I don't know, because I'm not in the clan meetings. You're the one with the silver spoon in your mouth that Dad makes sure is well and protected. I call him Dad, but we really know it's the creepy black guy that chose to steal my life and make me, give a shit about what's going on, hence why I'm Anarch. And then there's you, who's the Camarilla Ivory Tower spoon boy, who gets to play music on stage, get paid a lot of money, and gets to be, Lestat for the world? Yeah, I guess that maybe that's why I didn't call you to keep you in a loop. Because I was in my world where we have to work for a living, survive, and have to deal with shit like your sheriff coming around cracking heads for Kevin Jackson's piece.
Yeah, I could see your point there. Look, it's not. I get it. Me and you were different. I understand, that, and in parentheses, he'll be like, that you think that, I got a silver spoon in my mouth from Dad. But, I ain't on the up and up with Cornelius either right now,
Anita will raise her eye and she'll turn and she'll look to Brett. I told you. And Brett will just shake her head. Okay. Well, then let's update the info then. We're done fucking around. We know the camera will pull games, and one of them is where's Juggler? That's important 101. If you don't know who Juggler is, that's fine. But then I'm going to tell you a simple thing. I don't give a damn about what you consider loyalty, about what these two flunkies are, and a guy with a weird ass street sign thinks he's going to do walking in here other than get fucked up. And I'm not in a mood. So when you decide that you're going to use that street sign, I'm going to shove it up your ass and leave you out here for the sun and record it. And then I'll send it to somebody to understand that, I'm fucking Riot, and that's what I do. So that's all the ovary dangling I'm going to do for you. You can measure your dick by that if it helps. But the point is, we can make this a violent altercation what I hoped it would be. We're what's left of the anarchs who aren't singing Kevin Jackson's tune. Your sire, Cornelius, tried to accept the Primogen title for the Brujah clan, and that's over Critias, ignoring a certain piece. And I have one question. Who killed Critias?
Critias is dead?
And Chill, I just steely gaze stare at you. Oh, you didn't know?
Oh, fuck no. Nobody tells me shit.
I look over at Ramsey and say, man, it's Tom.
What? What do you mean it's Tom?
At that point, that right there, I'm going to tell you right now, when he's like, man, it's Tom. When he does that, this whole fucking room looks, you have their undivided attention when you say that. It's like blood in the water, which is a you statement tonight, but it's, you suddenly feel it's a very dangerous moment right now.
It's got to be. Who else is going to fucking kill Critias? Why? It's Tom. We were supposed to go through the program, do our thing. Tom and Sergey dipped off. We ain't seen them since. Although I feel like they're the people fucking with my comms right now. It's got to be Tom.
Wouldn't put it past him. He fucking hated Critias.
So let me be generous. Let me give you guys a politics. No, we're not going to do the die roll. You're unknown. You're pulled out here in Gary. You don't got friends. There's more of them than you. And we saw how numbers work. It's just you three, right? And technically it's just you two. Slappy's like family, right? At the very least, is the defunct redheaded stepchild kept in the dark. So what Warren just said was, oh man, I know who killed him. You know he did it. We were in that school supposed to pass, and you go, then we killed him. And then you're like, yeah, we could have done something. Maybe sort of should have word went, okay. What are the odds that if we roll this info together, gentlemen, that we understand just how deep shit we're in right now?
I mean, I don't, they want to know who killed Critias. There's no version of telling them that wouldn't require telling them. Like,
okay. I'm going to, in lieu of this information, and understanding that that's the path he's choosing, I'd be remiss as a storyteller to continue this scene without understanding the narration it would be. Would you think that would be fair?
I think it would be fair. I think if we also presumed on this, it would be hold on. It would be a somewhere between there is 9 of them versus 3 of us, or possibly 10 versus 3 of us, or 9 versus 2 of us, depending on what Slappy and Anita do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
that's not counting the people up in the rafters, because I don't believe there's just one dude up there.
If it's to that point, it's to that point. I took it as granted that she actually wanted to know who killed Critias, and that wasn't bait.
Yeah, but she's gonna blame us.
Well,
I mean, the thing. She's gonna say like,
what part of that is different? What part of that is different by me telling them who killed Critias?
Because it's about you saying anything at all.
All right.
Right? You have the pieces on the table, they don't know who you are, and you just started talking like you're in an interrogation room. You were sweating like a whore in church, letting them know that it wasn't you, Jesus, and you'll never do it again. That's what it sounded like. As we're starting to fill in the gaps and paint it to everybody what's going on. And that's the fact. But as we got into misinformation here, we already know one thing, right? And that is somebody, you said it yourself. Warren was messed with. It's weird. I got a hold of you through extraneous means. There's an incident that happened in the city. We don't know why. What could have possibly started it? I want to get in touch with people to figure out what's going on. I got to go out here and talk to Anita to do it. Something that Anita would do has occurred out on the highway, but she's not even acting like she did it. Right? Looks like this group took her hostage to have her here, and she's like, it's not my fault. What's not her fault? How long was somebody waiting for you to reach contact or to say what you're doing or say what's going on? What the hell's going on? And before that could be pieced together, you hear Critias is dead. With that being laid at your feet, you started telling them, oh man, it was Tom, da 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 da, this, that, and the other. There is no recourse here, is what I'm getting at. Because this is all advanced knowledge. Right at the point where I just said roll initiative, in your head would have been triggered all that. So I'm explaining it because the narration is going to be very simple as we got to bring this to a close tonight at this point on a cliffhanger and a very, very nervous Sullivan as he has a lot to explain for. And to me, this brings up to a crescendo, right? And I'll make this make sense for you. It's not that Ramsey doesn't hold off and Warren hold off heroically against what's going on, but Warren is too hungry. He's swinging that sign, doing what he can against a group of Brujah, smashed, hit, what have you. As man as Ramsey wants to be, at least two of the Brujah here can throw like vets. And that's what they got going on. And it's at least going to counter both of you, if not one outstrip two. We don't know what that is, but I'm telling you, that fight in your head, as much as I can make it magical, it's going to involve a lot of strength. It's a crowd, and frenzy will happen eventually. Cooler heads will no doubt prevail, but that is long after the dust settles and what side you have. So what I'm going to ask is, I know where you two are at. You have a verniculum. We know what frenzy does, and you're not cowards. If someone's going to come at you, the way is forward. Am I wrong in that assumption?
You're not.
Fuck no.
Okay, so that's that end. But for Slappy, this is where you have a moment of truth. You said, hey, man, I was woke before woke was woke. This implies a loyalty. This implies an understanding. This is your sister. You have a sire. There's a lot of pieces here in the puzzle you didn't understand. A lot of clan stuff has passed you by. But right here, right now, would you side with the people you came with? Or would you leave them out to dry and help and then try to figure it out in the aftermath? By the way, it doesn't appear that either if you choose not to help, live or die doesn't seem to be an option on the table. I'm going to tell you now. I feel that would very much be cheating. But I think these two have a right to know who you sided with.
No, Slappy would side with Warren and Ramsey. Given that it took a lot of convincing on his part to get him out here. So he would feel like it's the least he owes to them as far as like that. And yeah, he would side with them.
What I'm going to give you points to is to understand how this goes down. You have a right to know. Ramsey's not wrong in hearing the radio up top. But the moment Warren goes to engage, it's because that riot chick, when she stands up, she gives a nice smile. I told you it'd work out. All we had to do was sweat her. And points to Anita. And Anita's like, nah, we don't know the full. And that's when action happens, i.e. they're going to come running. But Warren, you beat him to the punch. It's because you're hungry, you're near starved, and most importantly, you are Sabat. On a lower humanity, your instinct screams at you what you want to do. And where you would run, your beast knows it's not going to get far. There was nothing around here save another highway, another big problem. It's not going to be enough time with them running after you, so you have to do something to them horrible, defend them off, i.e. this is what I can do if you want to push it. For Ramsey, the first gunshot, as you hear the report to, is what goes to the back of Warren's head. It empties his jaw forward, but it doesn't stop Warren. His beast is already riding, and you're actually a sense of pride. He already gave up to what his strength would be in that situation ahead of time. That sign he brings down in the first Brujah that thought they were rocketing to him and bends it around their head and just follows it up with punches, right? Not barely even looking as it goes on. But it's a clashing tide. When that happens, they're on him, trying to destabilize him, harry his attention, fight as if they anticipated a frenzy. It takes a second gunshot to hit him in the leg. You're already halfway up the rafter because you're aware that that's what would be going on. That's not what stops you. When you get up to the top, your assailant, more than aware of what's going on, starts shooting at you. And there's two things you got to decide here. It's either you're going to wait for them to climb up the stairs and they're on your heels, the howling rest of the group, right? They know that they have him, and whoever's peeled off from him is coming after you is. And Slap, for your record, you are fighting Anita. It is not because she wants to fight you. She's trying to restrain you, and you're trying to knock her head off. As far as you're concerned, her coming forward, she has a stake in her hand. And you see that. Like, she thinks there's a gentler method. Would you treat that as a betrayal and go at her exclusively? Or would you try to let her do what she's trying to do? But it is to stake you.
No, I would I want to give them the best opportunity to get out of this alive as I can. So I mean, I would also treat it as the gentler method for Anita, and I would attempt a dread gazer.
So Anita's fled. She'll flee from the scene. I mean, you dread gazer. It's like you give her a way out. Like you've guessed her well. She's going to do something, but she doesn't want to. There's history there. She has a soul, right? And as she's trying to like, no, it's for the best. Just don't. And you're like, bitch, leave. And you dread gazer. She takes off. But when she does that, you are left to the tender mercies of the group. Now, some peel off after Ramsey, but you're still left with this riot chick and one of the big guy in the back with the vest. He easily stands up with her as like a bodyguard. She had no intention of going anywhere. And this fight is all over again, what you feel is on the highway. It's like you have a last moment for a snarky comment and maybe can we talk this out? And you can't. They are both brutal in a way that you didn't think was possible. For instance, Riot doesn't just speedily jump into you and tear you apart like a movie. She walks towards you, and it's either you're going to stick her or you're not. Now, the important thing is the guy in the back, all he's doing is he's pulling out first what appears to be brass knuckles, and you realize it's not just brass knuckles. There's some sort of weight he can screw on the end of them. In other words, he's adding weight to the nuts to begin with. And as he's screwing it in, it's pain. This is all they have for you. And it's up to Slappy when he chooses if you're going to jump or let them come for you. And that's that.
Yeah, with 2-on-1, Slap would Slap would definitely try to avoid the brass knuckles, but would take whatever Riot's dishing out.
And for that, so I'll disclose this. Riot is not an elder. She's older. And so the blows that come for you as somebody who's a seasoned vet. I'm going to give this to you. One, many people assume it's a woman. She's only 5'2", cuts an intimidating image, rocks that look well, and maybe a badass biker daddy's side bitch is what you might get the impression of, and you would be dead wrong. Her first blow is to fake a jab as she cracks the inside of your knee to snap it easily, and followed up with 2 rapid punches that you feel not see that land on you. And you're able to stick her once, and that seems to get her to smile. And it's like a smilodon, a prehistoric cat. They have those long tusks for a reason. And when you hit her growl from her beast adds a level of menace to where a dread gaze is your instinct to throw at her next, almost like a go-to. Like I get her gone, maybe I can handle the other guy. Yeah. The other guy is just walking towards you, and you'll realize something. The other guy's just a ghoul. You'll get that distinctly as he gets closer. And the one thing he tried to do is that you'll hear him say, man, just don't fight it. And you're like, oh, shit, he's going to hit me with the knucks. She's going to do this. The fight's underway. And you get to rolling and tussling. It is a lot of getting beat. Your character's not even going to feel a lot of what happens due to the frenzy that will come up from it. But yes, they will be able to beat you. For Ramsey, that heroin climb of getting to the top, it is a truth that a lot of people don't like to look at. Somebody positioned well when you don't know where they're at in an open space like this, with a gun, your auspice works against you. Every crack and sound will get you to look away. Mm-hmm. Every fast movement you got to take, and you're being chased by another 2-3 guys, you assume, that's coming up behind you, is forcing you to make a decision. You're going at them, or you're leaving your cover when you know it's cover. It's enough of the wall to hide you from up top to make a choice until about a foot hole is opened up from whatever round that guy's using. And you begin to understand how Warren got decimated.
Yeah.
The shot that he had. However, that guy has maybe 30 seconds, maybe 60 before, and you're going to start hearing sirens, and maybe you could stall and wait out. And you begin to realize you can't stall and wait out because that's the 3 people who are hauling ass up to where you're at. They don't know where you're ambushed and waiting, right? But they do know you're up here, and they're just waiting. They themselves are listening to see where you're going to bolt to in a place that isn't well kept up for you to be stealthing in. And that's the choice. I will give this to you. It's either you're going to say balls to the wall, I'm going to run and dive and try to climb to get at the guy with the gun in the said position, or I'm just going to charge the 3 on the steps and we're going to see what happens.
I'll rouse for toughness and go balls to the wall.
With that, it's with your boots on. A lot of people don't want to admit this truth. You're still a scout. You may be former Sabat, but you're still that guy.
Yep.
And in terms of butchery, these 3, I'm going to give this to you. The first guy is human. And you'll smile when you realize that. You hit him and you'll stab into him, and he'll yell out in pain, and all he could do is fall as he tries to grip on you, which you just slash him further with your claws, right? As that happens. However, the harnessed you are will begin to understand that, okay, that guy was human, but not and indeed, the others, they have knives, and they begin to stab and slash as you are doing what you're doing. Where they are not super duper fast, i.e. they're young enough, the fangs reveal what they are, and you know how hardy they're going to be to fight you. It is a long fight. However, when you sustain the first shot, that just destroys your shoulder, and your arm kind of hangs there as you're looking at it. You begin to wonder, okay, they've done this before. Like you can put the pieces together. This exact crew with Anita has served in some capacity to meet with others before to have this said protection. They're used to meeting with probably elders. They're used to meeting with people who come with a show of force, maybe archons. And we can add another, 20, 30 years of experience on your sheet. You'd be hard-pressed to take care of all of them tactically in this type of setup that favored them. And you begin to remember that old adage when it comes to Sabbat, numbers. If you had shovel heads thrown in here to provide the chaos.
Totally different story.
Right, and then came in, it's different. You could get to that guy, you would have picked your spot, your beast wouldn't be so geared, and you would brawl accordingly. But at this point, when you're laid still, it's the effect that is the inevitable outcome. And yes, it is that you give as good as you got. In fact, I'm going to tell you, you guys killed two that were there, both mortal. That is, the guy that was with Slappy and yours in the hallway isn't going to survive their wounds given. Angered as they might be, these people are going to survive what this outcome is, and they're under some new knowledge. Right? Someone killed Critias, and now they got a name, and the name was Thomas. And somehow you two knew it out of this group. And that's all they operated on. This is your clan impulse for the Brujah players here. They had the information they were given. They're riding on their passion. Remember Critias' influence. There is an anarch, or if you were Brujah, you ran into him and you heard old man stories from a bygone age. And so, strangely, if he wasn't pulled away and after Theo Bell's instant in a second, they're still listening to him, that's respect given both ways. That was destabilized. Someone messed with it. Who would have an advantage? And you guys are laid low before you can worry about what that is. This is where we're going to stop for tonight. I'm going to give you guys, because it's the culmination of a chapter as well, the total XP we're going to give out is 5, unanimously across the board. For this is well done, in my opinion. Why is it well done? We didn't win. It's not about winning. I think Slappy went to meet his sister and to handle it out as he saw it, because he did lose touch with his sire when his sire, if we recall back, this is episodes ago, his sire did try to bring him into the whole Brujah mix to hear what's going on. And Slap more or less said, I had my own shit to deal with. I'll be, this ain't nothing. It was something, right? On number 2 point, remember me saying that plot interweaves everything that the players are. Slap was woven. You guys were woven. Ramsey's history's in here. When we think of Critias, or not Ramsey, Warren's history is in here. When we think of Critias, Warren was tied to this guy on 2 different occasions, even with a lore sheet. Going to Carthage and what happened, one could say influential Warren was in bringing this all to a head, and a lot was going on. But Warren's humanity is the enemy and the villain. As his humanity keeps getting dwindled, Warren's only able to obey instinct and follow through with it. And his not that his intelligence is slipping, his wit is more important to instinctual survival than it is necessarily in figuring out big sweeping plots. And I think my hat's off to you, Mike, for role playing that. That's not easy to do when I know you, Mike. You're a lawyer. Plans within plans, right? Everything has a reason and who's benefiting and so on and so forth. But instinctual is shutting off that part of your brain and giving the action. And finally, Ramsey, I like how you sit back and you think and you give credence to actions, not words, mostly. It's like, we're going to do this. Why are we doing that? I don't care. It's immortal. And you guys got shot in the highway. That sings to me how you're able to handle it. It's not that you guys were victimized as much as it is. This is chickens come home to roost. Now, knowing this is recorded, also knowing both DJ and Michelli are not going to watch this before they do their sightseeing, I don't mind telling you, who orchestrated this, you are 100% right, Mr. Moore. This is Tom, right? Absolutely. This is the destabilization that you guys are supposed to bring as a Sabbat group to the Phoenix Crusade itself. They didn't have it in before, if you recall. I'm giving this benefit because I think it's cool for everybody to see how the story came about. Completely player chosen. The Sabbat is a city, and you had 2 diehard packs, the Navigators and the widows, right? And if you recall back with the widows, there was sort of an ominous meeting where if you weren't going to play ball, they had a way you could play ball, but they never said why or how. And then you provided the bloodbaths to prove maybe there is an end. And then this went so on and so forth. Well, to think that nobody knew about Warren's background is an understatement. They didn't know until Thomas caught on and had wind of it. And we'll just say he wasn't super vocal about it, but he didn't exactly withhold information. I'll say that. And to Vernogle, my hat's off to you in the role play with that, because it was well done. But you had a priest as well, who leads a path of destruction, both emotional and otherwise, to his pack. And the priest single-handedly removed the glue that holds the pack together. At the same time, he believed he was abusing you together. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do, vividly.
You wanted to kill him, but you couldn't because you had to verniculum and welcome to the Sabbat, which is why, and we did all this before the Sabbat 5th ed came out in terms of this is what they are. Because when I saw that book, it vindicated DJ's roleplay, and it fit very much in what he and I thought. Yeah, this is what happens. These psychos no longer have a checks and balance. It's forward. That's what they're going to be about. And so the sicko gets to play priest for all of you and try to manipulate where it goes. But it's the one thing I felt that was very, I don't know, one I could never do as a player. I couldn't see the forward steps as to, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, but I'm not going to inform everybody what I had going on because I had my own agenda. And I feel that's what the surrogate's all about. Plans within plans, and that's what he did. It's a long-winded way of saying, when it comes to Critias, you had to have known he was the target.
Yeah.
He was the juiciest piece of fruit that was sitting on the table to see. Now, what I'm saying is, the end of the chapter, Critias is dead. I actually titled this, Critias No More, is how I put it on there. It has every bit to do with what I think of one simple truth. Critias being out there with all the information that he has didn't respond to the beckoning. There's a reason, and a terrible one, and maybe someone finds out. Maybe you guys would have. But before you could figure it out, he's a prime pack for someone like, or a target for someone like the Widows and the Navigators that are designed to do a war hunt, or excuse me, a hunting party, do a war pack, target them, and get rid of them. Because with Critias gone, who else is going to know about Sabbat tactics?
Mm-hmm.
Who else is going to know about what they can bring? And you have a young prince and an old council that never dealt with an organized Sabbat front. Well, now that's different. And with the Anarchs involved, you couldn't sleep on them. There was always a war council in V5 that was waiting for the Camarilla to stumble. This is that call to stumble. And innocently, Warren gave them that in. The reaction you had was more of, we were waiting for a reason and a crusade than we ever were waiting to hear the specifics of why. What I'm telling you is Riot doesn't care why they killed Critias, other than Critias is a known and respected elder, and the fact that you know who did it, and you took, and it was nonchalant, and you said it, low humanity, whatever you want to call it, it was delivered well, I think, in character. They reacted. This doesn't mean you're dead. What I'm saying is, this is what we're operating on. This is what I'm going to judge as an ST. And it's going to be great to see how DJ, hearing this as Sullivan in his clan meeting, is going to handle it. So we're going to try our best to get that on camera, to see how Sullivan handles it, to be at a Venture clan meeting, to answer for all of what's going on and know what the camera is doing from that side, and also get some good cam stuff in for folks watching and for us too, to see the story wrap up. And I thank everybody for tuning in, and more to come. We're not done. But it's definitely in a dark spot. Go ahead, Mike.
I was gonna say, we can't run off yet. You got to give folks a preview of coming attractions. Come on, spit it out.
What are you referring to? I don't know. What are you referring to?
I'm just saying, if I were watching this show, I would want to know if we are going to continue telling the tale of this Chicago, or if something else is coming.
He just said we're not dead. He gave us XP. We're not dead.
He did say we're dead.
No, he said we're not.
So being rendered not playable for the moment determines, I'll be honest, it determines on Sullivan. Right? That's where this hinges. Whatever Sullivan can do to spin this out to do what he is, there's decisions he's going to have to make that are innocent, and he's not going to know. But for you guys, legit, yeah, you're in dire straits. How could you not be?
Mm-hmm.
That breach in the highway is another hump that you can't even begin to address. That's horrible that it had happened, and is a nail in the coffin. Maybe if we didn't piss on Tally the Hound when that hand was given out and did something with it, we could have helped out. But we know that too, right? Mm-hmm. But this is all a natural response that we role play through, and we just basically distance ourselves from the Lasombra whack job, as far as I'm concerned, because that's how we treated it. However, a penalty was paid. And that penalty is where maybe a aspiring Lasombra could have gave some insight and could have helped you out with it. You simply didn't have it, right? So that's what it is. He needs attention. I can't help it.
You're fine.
But that's the effect. The other side of that shoe is, okay, there's a lot of opportunity we had to move up in the ranks to earn those friendships. But what happened? You had Ballard say, can you take care of a video, guys? And we did this. Yeah, at some point. Hey, guys, wouldn't it be great if you help with this head and then tally the hound? Hang on a second. Did you get her? She's dead. How do you know she's dead? And there was a story there, and you were like, you know what? I don't particularly care. My name's Warren. Fuck you. That's done. And everybody else was like, well, if Warren didn't care, well, we're not going to, But tally, well, we'll put that to the side. How about Sullivan's crazy sire who came in and braced you guys directly to club, and you two were like, we know Sabat. That dude's Sabat as fuck.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, hey, y'all, do we say anything? Nah. All right, we don't say anything. Then it's, hey, my name's Slappy, and I feel there's all this stuff going on. Let's just cause a riot out of a hat, a player-generated crazy moment of epic proportions because disciplines are cool. I like to think that there are neonates in Ancilla who get in those moments. Maybe it was a full moon. We don't know. And then come up with a crazy idea and go, oh, shit, that's out of hand. When I thought I could punch that dude, I thought I would just knock him out, not knock his head off and then get a strike in the bowling alley.
Well, that's exactly. So just to chime in a little, you kind of nailed my mindset exactly. I was just like, okay, this is working out. And then you continued your narration. I was like, oh, no.
No.
So yeah, the game's going to continue. We're obviously going to keep doing games. It's just that right now we're at a point to where the story of the Phoenix Crusade might be sheathed, right? Because that tale is told. How do I think the tale's going right now? It's perfect. It's as they wrote it, right? The continuation of the Sabbat is what it is, and they don't have time to make a perfect crusade. At the same time, the Camarilla had a lot of elders pulled out due to the beckoning, and this is what happens. If you had Loden sitting on the throne, or Maxwell, do you think it'd be even possible to get away with what you did? Hell no. Lode made them Elysium laws. You mess up, blood hunt. We call it a day. Y'all would have been dead before dead was dead. And that was that, right? What happened in Naperville? Don't matter. Kill him twice. Well, shit. What are we going to do? And that's what it is. But you had leeway because these aren't perfect elders who are watching you. And that's what happened. And that's why there's still a chance that some type of way happened. I will say this, though. Most likely, we have a game or two before this will end, and we'll open with a new one, is what's going to happen. I will give you that. I'm not announcing what it is because I believe we should focus on the RP that we have of what's in front of us before we clear the table and decide we're going to do something else. Let's finish the story, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, that's on me. My bad. I definitely thought you would say we were dead, but this is what we should know.
He said the opposite, Mike. He said the opposite.
Because I'd have killed me. In that scene, I'd killed the fuck out of me.
Absolutely. But here's the thing. If death was going to be the inevitable result, it's a negotiation. I say, would you like to narrate this or throw this out? What I'm saying is, in all honesty, it's either going to be dead easy for you. There's no point in rolling dice, and I know how this is going to go, especially if you frenzy, like on the highway. We're not going to roll how we're going to battle against him stat for stat. He will eventually fall. But he's going to give a bit. And that's okay to narrate that and do that so we can have a story. But if it were down to the point where you three were like, nah, screw this. I'm done taking shit from him. We're going to fight. I'm going to rip him apart and kill him. We can narrate that where he dies, you dead. Well, I'm the type of guy to go, well, y'all adults, man. Grown-ass men can roll dice. And I'll let that tell the tale. I didn't referee nothing but random, right? And that's what kind of it's for between player. Or, dun, 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 mini-boss. And you threw out there to fight. The whole point's to roll them dice sometimes and to see those outcomes and enjoy those moments. It's my job to keep it narrative and interesting as you do it. And that's why I said, a fight like this was not what I expected in that scene, by the way. I didn't. I thought, here's what I said, Bernogle's going to get the info that Anita might have done something like this. But the moment we walked in and Anita was like, hey, look, this wasn't my idea. I instantly thought Slappy would like, well, then what the hell is going on? Why is this like, there's a lot of weird shit. Can somebody explain it to me? I had thought that would have been the angle. But I think the level of threat in the room and after what you guys have been dealing with, he was already in game mode and he had two killers on his side. And we came in with that game mode. And it's hard to get out of that. However, that affects the outcome and play of the room. And I put this down, literally wrote this scene to be social based. Because it pulls from his background. He has stuff in it. There's things he could say. There's info you could say. But ultimately, the fuel of the fire, and I'm going to say that, is Warren going, hey man, what my fault? They all did this. This is what it was. We knew Thomas. We should have done something with it. We didn't even do it. I didn't even know why we had them killed. We knew we were going to kill Christ. We were going to kill Christ. We decided to kill Christ. But it was going down the road. I was like, okay, time out. I already know where this is going. We're going to. They're not endearing to the idea that this is going on. So it's a lesson, and I think it's a good one. Right? And is it fair to Warren? Some of you may think, hey, man, Warren should have known better. I would say no. The whole role play of Warren has been, if there's a way, he will think of it to get out of it. That's every step of the way. And that's how he is. And that's where he backpedals. But if it has to go to Nux, he can throw. Problem is, this did both. And finally, you guys ran into something where you couldn't easily blow through it. That's what this is over and out. So that's the outcome. But we will get to it like next time. Appreciated everybody watching, and naturally, guys will stay on a little extra. If you got some more questions, we could do that. But for those watching, thank you. Tune in next time, and I promise it's going to be worth seeing at least the end, and at least the end of this story, as we will begin a new one, no doubt.
Sounds good. See y'all.